Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach is as flat as the earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Henrik86, Liam Nedrick, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Alexander Main, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So a massive shout out to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'll raise the mic on whoever is in Discord. Only a couple of people in there, unfortunately, so it might be a massive conversation, but I'll raise the mic on them anyway, and you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
What happened?
Between you and Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, the from 24/7, one of the mods there. Listen, I know one thing. When somebody's got somebody over a barrel, everybody just gotta shut up. You know? And I know it got into, I think you hurt his feelings a little bit. That's what I take from listening to it. But I don't think he was getting it. Just be quiet. You had him. Don't need no help.
Okay, people on our own side are just as keen as I am, so I've got no qualms about that. I've forgotten his name, Gladiator something or other. More power to him. The guy's just full of passion. You know, more given credit for being passionate about wanting to argue with the Fundy and challenge him on his rhetoric. You know, the fact that I'm getting in his way. Just try and understand that, right? That's what he's saying. Listen to what he's actually saying. So while I'm saying it, I'm trying to explain to him, look, I'm sorry, because I am. I'm saying, look, please let me have him, because it's essentially me asking for permission, politely. But by about the 5th or 6th time, I'm like, you know, enough of me asking politely, just shut up now. But that is me being rude to him, so it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. It's just the guy's passionate. That's good.
Yeah, but when somebody's got him, like you had this guy over a barrel, he couldn't go anywhere except his religious belief.
Sometimes that's part of the fun as well, you know, when your own side are getting in your own way. People get to see that too, and that happens, right?
I still would like to see you between the moon and Earth and a tennis ball. I want to see that happen.
What, in the place that's just been debunked?
Yeah. I would love to see that happen. I would love to see you and a tennis ball, as defiant as you are, somehow meet.
There's two different ways of on a slightly different admin related topic. There's 2 different ways of streaming now. One is that you can just, hey Flatside, you can just go live, providing providing your software's got the right stream key. As far as I understand it, when I go to what was the original live dashboard, it just lets me go live if I press go. Now, if I schedule a stream and press go, it connects the software to YouTube, so you've got a preview window, and then you have to mouse over the button that says go live and press go live. But what that will do is put a scheduled stream in. Now, I've got to be honest, it takes me, I don't know how long, it's probably about 25 minutes at the moment. Can I show this? Let's just see if I can show the audience what I'm babbling about. You can't see this, but for the audience's benefit, I'm going to see if I can show my 2 different screens. I do this every so often, because there's going to be new people that don't see this, right? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So this is my screen that I watch predominantly. This is my monitor. It's 4K, so it can squeeze a lot on. I don't really care about the resolution, other than it's got a lot of real estate, so I can squeeze lots of things on if I've got lots of pixels. And this is what I look at, right? And I have to position this all in such a manner that I can monitor the stream and have it be recorded, etc, etc, etc. I'm monitoring PC temps. I'm monitoring the stream itself and the live chat. This is the live chat that the audience gets to see. This is obviously all of Discord. This is my sound desk. This is Skype. Right, that's on one screen. And then I've got a second screen, which actually has all the, if you like, the recording side. Let's see if I can find that for the audience. Bear with me a second.
I'm imagining it so nice.
Say again?
I'm imagining it in my eyes.
Oh, I'm sure it's
In my
beautiful in your mind. A TV and webcam, that's close enough. You can see me as well, but that'll do. Set this all up ages ago. So on this screen, this is what I look at when I'm recording, and I've obviously got my OBS screen, which is all recently changed, but we won't get into that. And my camera, and then on this screen I've got the Patreons that I read out, shout them all out. Another live stream because it's closer to me, so I can actually physically read the thing, because the other monitor I just showed you is quite a distance away, so the text is too small. I've got my channel members, Patreons, and that's about it. I think is there anything else on this screen hiding? Yes, there's my VLC. So that's the video that runs in the background. And there's probably a couple of other things hidden down here that I haven't shown you, but there's plenty of different stuff. Anyway, you get the general idea. I'm just showing the audience. That takes between 20 to 25 minutes each morning to set up. So you then have the question, do I then add to the total of that setup time, scheduling a live show and having to concern myself with actually pressing go on the monitor as well as on my magic box? What's it called? Stream Deck? Or do I just let it hopefully just function as it should function always and just do nothing, you know, just press go and it goes? But I'm only going to find that out today, so I want to know if that's even an option. Will it just work? In other words, when I press go live on this box that I've got next to me, I can't show it you, will it go live? I don't know. I've not used it yet. It's all new. But if it doesn't go live, then I've got no choice. It's a fait accompli. I've got to use the other system and schedule shows each time. But I've been doing them at 2 o'clock. I've been doing them at, what time is it for you there, Flatzoid? 20 to what? In South Africa?
It's 20 to 3.
20 to 3. Oh, so you're virtually the same as us. Why did I ask you? That's useless. He's in the States. Right, Neil, what time is it in NY?
8:39.
8:39 in the AM. Right. Now, you presumably know that in New York, I go live at 9 AM, right?
Correct.
So why bother scheduling one? I mean, I know from my statistics that there's like a tiny, tiny margin of newbies who come here who will happen to stumble across me because I'm lucky enough to have fit in the YouTube algorithm and showed to them despite them not knowing. That never happens. It's all people who already are subscribed and know about me. You know, I've got a very dedicated audience. I'm sure a lot of YouTubers would think that they'd want to kill for that sort of dedication in their audience. You know, I see so many people appealing to the fact that nobody subscribes when they're watching their most popular video. It's like, yes, because we don't care beyond your most popular video. I don't want to subscribe. Me, it's the other way around. I've got nothing but subscribers, and it's, you know, my stuff's not reaching any newbies. But that means why bother scheduling it? Everyone knows that it's going to be live, and when it's live anyway, right?
Right. I got you.
Yeah,
I'm here every day.
We'll see how it goes.
While I still plug your show everywhere.
Well, that's it. I beg people
right.
to share it. So hopefully, if it just goes live today, when I press go, an audience gets to see us. I'll start 5 minutes early again, much probably to Arwen's annoyance. Shout out to Arwen on the Flat Earth Earlier Bird Show, which is broadcasting as we record this.
Good morning.
Morning. I did actually tune into some of Arwen today. Hey, 10th man. He was moaning about YouTube not promoting him. I can totally relate, Arwen.
A carryover from last week.
I didn't know that. Obviously, I'm setting up when he's going live, so occasionally I might catch the first little bit of it, but that's about all.
Hey, Nathan, not to change the subject, but when was that? The 24/7 when the last one you were on? That was last night?
It was yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, I did it, and then
Oh,
immediately.
maybe you need an alert for Neil whenever you go to 24/7. That's more needed.
Well, it was more that I needed a bit of material. This is gonna sound so mercenary.
Nathan,
it was a Sunday, and I'm
Nathan,
I'm really poor, so I got loads of money in recently from doing a GoFundMe. Also, to see him at surface level, but it all got spent. So I'm still left with nothing. And I was like looking at the
Doesn't it
stats,
go
going,
fast?
I
Money
need to.
goes fast, doesn't it?
Well, it's not that.
very
It's just
fast.
it was already assigned to stuff. So amp
That's what
repairs,
I'm
PC
saying.
repairs, and then a shower and a fridge breaking on top of that, and me purchasing a subwoofer meant that it was already all spent. So yeah, it meant that I could cover it all and keep the show going. But it didn't mean I ended up with like, oh well, now I'm good. I've got a little buffer. Well, no, it didn't work out like that. It's just I didn't get to retire on
No,
it.
that's exactly what I'm
Well-
saying. Hang on, Flat. So I just want to round off this point. So we get a little extra money here on the farm, and my wife thinks, oh, good, now we can put that in savings. And I say, yeah, but remember that one thing we had to fix, and then we fixed that, and then how about this thing? So there's so many things we put on hold, right? Because we don't have the money, and then when the money comes in, everything gets fixed, but then you have no money.
Yeah. Well, that was the case. That's what started the ball rolling, because I was like, I'm never going to have the money to get these amps fixed, but I'm still earning the same living I've ever earned on YouTube, so nothing much has changed in that regard. I've got to do it at some point, so I'm like, okay, fine, I'll just send it off, pray that it's cheap, and that'll be that. But from there, you end up with 1, 2, 3 more amps breaking, and a shower and a fridge and a PC, and so it goes on, and you end up in a mountain of debt. But then you get, I can't believe how lucky I am to have the support I do. I was just moaning earlier that I don't get enough newbies. It's all concentrated on very dedicated audience. But on the flip side of that, when you're fucked, excuse my French, they come through for you in a big way. I'm so grateful. Sending every single person that's like contributed in any even small way got a personal thank you from me. It's like, my God, thank you so much. Without you, I'd be screwed. And it's true. But still, I can still relate to Arwin. still going to do it, right? Still going to actually get down to the grind. Like I say, you're not going to retire off a GoFundMe campaign, are you?
Sorry, Flatzoid, go ahead.
sorry.
I said I apologize for interrupting to round off that point, but you were going to say something.
No, don't worry. I was just gonna say, remember, the vacuum of space is not a vacuum.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
but
guy
the
from
real
24/7.
question-
Well,
But
until
the
he
real
tried to.
question-
He only said that because he was attempting to reverse the burden of proof and get me to define it. When I pointed out that I don't claim a vacuum, he was suddenly a bit stammered. He didn't know what to do.
Yeah, but
Nathan,
the
he
real
just went
question-
right back to everything you addressed and went right back to the mass attracting mass nonsense of the old Newtonian gravity. Am I correct?
Yeah, but by the reading between the lines, based on the questions that people I've got a lot of respect for, people like Jedi, were asking him, I think that seems like a bit of a rut that perhaps is just an occurrence around that dude. Without divining the thoughts of the people around him, I can only go by what was said. And it seems that the order of events is you ask people to prove that there's a sky vacuum called outer space where pictures come from, and the fundy wants to argue with you all day about gravity. And it seems that a couple of them have suckered into that, trying to get him to define what mass is. And it's like, we're not arguing about gravity. This isn't a gravity argument. It's not overcoming entropy. We've drawn a line in the sand. Maybe that hasn't reached them yet. We've drawn a line in the sand as far as Newtonian gravity is concerned. Excuse my French again for the second time. I'm using up all the F words before we even go live. Fuck them. They're not going to use this mass attracting mass bullshit force anymore. I'm sick of it. So's QE. So's Sleeping Warrior. And we've just said no. No, that's it now. I'm tired of it. That's why you heard me screaming at him. It's not a force! Well, it isn't. These morons need to start understanding their own rhetoric. I'm tired of pointing out their own misunderstandings about their own bloody argument. And I've had enough. So the guys over there at 24/7, more power to them. That's the way, the route that a fundy wants to take you. If you're trying to disprove a sky vacuum based on them claiming they've got pictures from it, they're going to want to talk about gravity. In other words, something else.
I thought you dismantled him perfectly.
Dangly balls.
Well, you did a good job on the Mitchell's show, the interview that they did with you.
Sorry, say again.
The interview that you did with Mitchell from Australia that you posted, that was really good.
Yeah, that was good. They're a very nice host.
Yeah, very nice. I was going to say to Flatzoid, the real question is, how can we have pressurized gas?
You don't understand. Pressure and pressurized is two different things.
I like the way Nathan responded, though. So let me try it again. So, Flatzoid, how can you have pressurized gas?
That's a...
No, just return the question to me.
You contradict.
The answer.
Must be as a globe or
Nathan.
Or a flat.
Let me do it with Nathan. Nathan, how can you have pressurized gas?
You'd need a container.
Oh, everyone's missing it. The last time I heard that statement, you turned the question right back to the baller.
Nobody's following you, 10th man. You're going to have to lay this out like we're dumb, because at the moment I'm feeling dumb.
Someone asked me that question I've been asking.
What was your question again?
Man, how do you have pressurized gas?
Yes,
how can you have pressurized gas?
Please tell us. Yes, please. Please, Nathan Flatzer, tell me, how can I have pressurized gas? What
I
does
don't
it
know.
take to have pressurized gas?
It's turned into a joke. I don't know. How can you have pressurized gas? What do you have?
That's it. That's it. That's what I wanted right there.
Okay,
have you ever seen dry ice?
Everyone shut up. Right, let's try this. I've got to draw an end because it's driving me batty. 10th man, I've got a question for you. How can you have pressurized gas?
Oh, Nathan, that's great. How can you have pressurized gas?
By sticking in a container.
No, Nathan's supposed to answer.
Am I?
Oh, you've got me lost.
I'm totally lost too. I don't know what's going on here.
No, here's the thing. When we have, you can't have gas pressure without containment. That's very simple, well-structured everything. Then they can't get around it. So then they say there's a difference between that and pressurized gas. So all Nathan did on the past show was just reverse the question. Great, then tell us how we can get pressurized gas. The only answer is
I see what you're saying.
So they're stuck.
I finally penny dropped. Okay. So you're saying, we ask, how can you have gas pressure without a container? And the opponent obviously dodges the question and says, no, gas pressure is not the same as pressurized gas. Therefore, I'm going to dodge this question. And you just rephrase it back to them. Okay, no worries. If you need it paraphrasing, I don't mind. How can you have pressurized gas without a container?
It's so basic.
No matter how they turn it, you always need a container.
All right. Oh, that was fun.
Nathan, have you ever seen dry ice, Nathan? Come on, dry ice.
It goes down.
Why don't you just tick all boxes and say pressurized gas pressure, so they can't have a problem?
Say that again?
He's saying, why don't you kowtow to their unreasonable rebuttal? Just add it into the request. Well, I don't mind.
Yeah,
I've got no issue with that.
How can you have pressurized gas pressure and then they can't say anything?
It's a comedy show half the time. I mean, when you have to defend the undefendable, the stuff comes out very organically, meaning they don't think about it because they're stuck and they have to say something, and then they don't realize how funny what they say is.
It's one of the few times that you can use a rebuttal we often hear, and it's more often than not in projection. But when someone says, that's just semantics, well, often we'll say, well, that's words and their meanings. But in rebuttal, if you say, how can you have gas pressure without a container? And the fundie replies, no, we're not talking about gas pressure. We're talking about pressurized. That's different. Now, obviously, beyond the dodge of the question, which is the most overt thing that they're doing, what they're actually doing is just using semantical wordplay. The two things have the same meaning. Pressurized, gas pressure, it's the same thing. But in rebuttal, by rearranging the phraseology of the word, it doesn't change the terminology of the word. But it seems like they've addressed something. Well, that is how you could actually say, well, no, you're just trying to use semantics, i.e. use a different sounding word, which actually has the exact same meaning, to seem like you've offered up a rebuttal. Well, your semantics of which word's going to be used, i.e. which word with which meaning, when they both have the same meaning, is irrelevant. But that could be where we could cry, well, semantics. You know, who cares which it's defined as? In terms of the words, they both mean the same thing. It doesn't matter if you call it pressurized gas or gas pressure. Who cares? It's just semantics.
When it first happened, I cried out laughing. Forget crying out semantics. It was so funny. It's so obvious.
Nathan, quick question before you go live.
Yeah, feel free. A bit quiet, whoever you are. You alright, Darren?
Yeah, hi, sorry, it's me. I don't get any notifications anymore. I've unsubscribed, resubscribed, and I still don't get notifications.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. I hear it very regularly. So, yeah. In this case, though, today, there is no scheduled show. So, for reasons I explained earlier in the pre-show, they've changed all the YouTube broadcasting software. And there's two different methods. One is scheduling, which you'd get a notification for. And the other is just, you can just go live by press go live. And I want to see if that works today. And hopefully it does. And then I've got options. But tell me again after we go live, because it might be the case that when I actually start the broadcast, which I will very shortly, a little early, just in case it doesn't work, if you don't get a notification after I go live, then fine. I need to know that, because today you wouldn't have, if that makes sense. But I assume you're saying previously you don't get notifications, or generally you don't anyway.
Yeah, it's just been the last, well, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, just 0 notifications.
I've had channel members unsubscribed. Let's put it, just to put it into context.
Yeah, well, I did the unsubscribe and then subscribed, tick the bell notification, but I just get 0 emails, not even a notification on the YouTube app either.
Yeah, I mean, there came a time when they essentially told YouTube, you need to start censoring them. What are you going to do? And they said, well, you know, we'll start censoring them. We'll even tell people the Earth isn't flat under their videos. So they have.
Yes. Yes, they do. I see that a lot of times.
It's a Wikipedia entry pointing out the archaic nature of a flat Earth model, and in many ways I agree with them. Yeah, models are pseudoscience. We say it here often. So you want to call an archaic, meaning very old and ancient, model false? Well, I'd agree with you. Models are pseudoscience, regardless if they're flat Earth or globe Earth. So calling an archaic flat Earth model incorrect? I've got no issue with that, really.
Yeah, the whole society is lacking critical thinking skills. So they get away with murder, it seems like, because even from the smallest thing to something like this, it's the amount of brain cells working or not working on a subject has retreated. Like when I bring up issues about the current day effects, not even flat Earth, just stuff happening in the news, people say all kinds of strange things. It's like, wait a minute. No, that's not what I heard.
Well,
I heard this. I go, well, how can you have 2 different things?
Well, if you really want to piss them off, just tell them you don't ascribe to any model.
Well, we don't.
Could I just make a quick point about the archaic flat Earth?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it's not so much a problem in isolation, but the implication for people who don't really know what that's saying. They often do this with language. They'll kind of say something knowing that people understand a different thing by it. So they'll say that it's an archaic model, and we can all agree. But that implies that the globe isn't the same thing. And that's the problem. They won't also then say, oh, by the way, the globe is too.
Yeah, we are saying on the show, and I know what you're saying, they're not offering up the other half of the false dichotomy that would be presented within debate. So they're saying the flat Earth model's wrong. You go, yeah, but the globe Earth model's wrong, and also they're both models. Who cares? We don't live on models. That's pseudoscience. I'm going to give this a bash. Hopefully we go live. Everyone cross their fingers.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live, or hopefully live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. We are joined by... Let's see if we're live while I check. Hopefully, yes, we are. Hallelujah. We are joined by Flatzoid, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. We are actually live. Hooray.
Yay, I'm alive.
How?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I'll need to hustle some people off mute. That I've definitely not done, so I'll do that while I'm asking the first housekeeping question. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
No.
Not even from the globe model itself.
None at all.
The same one that the Globers are now throwing away.
What, we
Yeah.
do not see the geometric horizon. That one.
Well, if you don't see it, then how
You
do
would
you
think
measure
there'd be
it?
something if it's supposed to be there.
And as Neil just pointed out, how are you supposed to measure it if you can't see it? Answer, you can't. You'd need to have geometry in the first instance. Al-Biruni's claimed to have measured it, but of course, in rebuttal to a black swan that demolishes it, we're told we don't see the geometric horizon. We wouldn't expect to see it, even though Al-Biruni measured it, and everything that you're going to claim thereafter is going to be based on the R value he claimed to measure. But there we go. Happy days. No evidence of Earth curve. Only exists in the maths, as always. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
We would have shortened flight times if there was, Nathan. So, no.
Wouldn't you first need a sphere for that?
The assertion. Yeah, you'd need to beg the question of a sphere to make the assertion.
I think, hey everyone, hey Nathan.
Hey Brian, good to have you.
I think I've been looking into the moon, and the moon definitely causes major problems for their argument. As I won't go into too much now, as I haven't formulated it correctly, but the moon definitely causes major problems to the whole rotation argument. Besides the fact that there is no observed Coriolis effect.
Okay, yeah, we'll get
Well,
to
don't
that. Can
forget this.
you fill us in straight after housekeeping? Is that good by you, Brian?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Let's rattle our way through them. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope. No
No,
evidence.
no, but I was also going to say, don't forget the selenium.
Looks
Also,
about as far as the moon is.
model.
Again, Tommy?
It looks about as far as the moon looks. Doesn't look that far away. Doesn't look 93 million miles away, that's for sure.
Any evidence of the distance?
Well, I
Wait,
agree with I agree with Tommy there. I mean, if something was 93 million miles away, would we even see it?
Not asking for
I'll just
distance.
quickly pull out my tape measure.
There is no evidence.
I was going to say, I'll clarify the question. Not any evidence of a claimed incorrect distance that we know it's not, but any evidence for distance.
We can use trigonometry. We can trigonometry with people.
See, what you're not understanding is that we can assume the size of Venus, and then the rest just falls into place.
Good old Christian Huygens.
Just bend the triangles.
Let's move on.
No, but we first have to assume that there is an R value.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well lay it out now. You guys have done such a good job of bringing all the aspects to the table. First, assume Venus is the same size as the presupposed radius of Earth, based on a horizon that Al Bruni thinks he can measure but can't see according to the fundies we debate with. So, presume Earth's a sphere with R, that you can't measure. Then presume Venus, a light in the sky, is the same presupposed spherical rock size as Earth presupposed to be a sphere. Then apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion, and Bob's your uncle, you can derive all the distances to everything in the claimed to be solar system, i.e. a system with the sun at the centre known as the heliocentric model. You can derive it all, you just need to make a couple of blatant assumptions that you cannot verify, and derive everything from there. Of course, we've debunked R, so claiming Venus is the same exact size as Earth. Ever wonder why they call it Earth's twin? Well, that's because they've assumed it's the same size as us. They being Christian Huygens in this example.
And
that were both planets. Sorry.
Go on, Platzoid.
Where are these things are worked out with a geocentric model before either?
Indeed. Go on, Brian.
Yeah.
Hey, Arwin, good to have you.
Yeah, just saying that they also pre-assume that both places are planets in a vacuum.
Exactly. Assume Earth's a planet, assume Venus is a planet, assume they've both got the same radius value, assume they're both spherical. Hey, yes, we can now hear you, Arwin. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
No. What there is, though, at the moment, at present time, since 1915, mainstream science, pseudoscience, have openly declared that gravity is an observed effect. Now, they have what they claim to be the cause of this effect is the curvature of space-time by matter. But how have they verified this? We have a particular method for establishing cause and effect. So how have they verified that the effect that we see, that they call gravity and buoyancy, although buoyancy is not part of it anymore because buoyancy is connected to mass attracting mass. How have they established that this effect that we see, this observed effect, is caused by the curvature of space-time by matter?
They calculated it.
Hold on.
They only have an effect.
Hold on. What effect? What are we observing? What's the observed phenomena? An effect in science is an observed phenomena that you want to know the cause of. So what's the effect that you're saying we observe?
Well, the effect that they observe and declare on is that things fall to the ground. Now, while they're observing this effect, they're ignoring the other. They're ignoring that things also go up.
Hold on.
So
yeah, that's true.
So this isn't a phenomena then. If you're saying, well, we can observe something completely contrasting this single claimed vector of down in the form of, say, a helium balloon, you can debunk that notion. But that isn't necessarily what they assert in the phenomena that they're looking at in the sky, is it?
No, they're asserting that there is a downward vector of everything, while ignoring all the things that go up.
Well, that's useless. Okay, fine. Any more scientific evidence? Not that was of gravity.
Well, they had to change it to specific gravity at a stage, and that's just relative density. So, actually, they're just affirming gravity doesn't exist.
Yeah,
it's relative density T.
Relative density to T?
Yeah. Relative density T. And
just
they
density.
call it gravity.
Depending on what you're talking about, it's just density, right? It only becomes relevant in these descriptions if you've got a relative disequilibrium between two densities, one being a medium. Well, you can only be a medium potentially if you're not solid, although that's not strictly true. We won't get into that though. But you know what I mean in simple terms. Well, being relative to a different density, you could call relative density, but then you're getting quite specific in terms of what's occurring. Whereas just density is the overall description of what's like an umbrella term for what we describe, right? How dense something is.
Singular density doesn't cause the displacement. It's only
but you're immediately into describing something else that's happening, a displacement. So then you're into the more complex nature of relative density because you've got two different things, one that's going to displace the other. So then it's right. Overarching is density. Well, in this example, when you've got two different ones that you're going to say or talk about the displacement of one with the other, well, then that's relative density, relative between the two things, that one that's displacing the other. So yeah. Any scientific evidence of gravity in the meantime?
No, they actually only have an observed effect. That is only half of a phenomenon.
an observed effect.
But do they really observe it though?
I was going to say, didn't we just cover this?
You mean the heavy ball on a trampoline?
Hold on, didn't we just cover this, Brian?
No. I did say only half of a phenomenon, Nathan. I said, no, they don't have any scientific evidence. I did state that.
When you say half a phenomenon, you mean... Yeah, well, the other half would be the antithesis of what he's claiming is the phenomena in the first instance. Well, if you've got an equal and opposite to it, it's not... It's kind of... it's more akin to what we've just described with density, really. I mean, I'm not being funny, but...
You know,
the thing that makes me laugh is that they must have come up with this gravity thing, and then they realise they messed themselves up, and that's to make another reason for why things go up, and say, oh yeah, it's pulling everything down, and that's what's pushing it up. So the very thing that's pulling things down is also responsible for pushing things up. It's just to cover their tracks because they realised they messed up when they isolated this one observed phenomena of things falling.
Well, that also invokes gravity, you realise. You're talking about buoyancy. Buoyancy has also got gravity in it, so it's just...
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Right. Well, like that, gravity as a concept can kind of like be overlaid over the relative density, this equilibrium system, the density system, but it leaves some little room to speculate or to ignore entropy and then imagine that potentially there can be outer space out there. That's really the only reason it was fabricated in the first place, because I'm pretty sure that before gravity, it was just called density and described as relative density.
I don't know if it was.
It's funny as well.
I don't know if it was.
It's funny as well because gas doesn't even get affected by gravity. Like you don't see gases coming down; they're omnidirectional. So how is it pulling down for the helium to go up? It's just a contradiction. You don't see that gas.
It's not that it's not subject to gravity; it's debunking gravity.
Yeah.
Can I ask a basic question on this?
Of course.
I take that as a yes. All right, so when they say mass attracts mass, would it be safe to say what they're saying is that in Newtonian language, not that Newton ever said this, that the larger mass will always be pulling or have a tug effect on the smaller mass, so there would only be one vector, everything going towards the larger mass. Would that be safe to say is their position if they argue from that point?
Number one, yes, they say mass attracts mass. Number two, why are you asking? This is 105 years out of date. In the pre-show, we said we're going to draw a line under this 105-year out of date mass attracting mass nonsense. It's been superseded.
Yes, I know, and I agree. But that's the whole point. That just the mass attracts mass in itself is a contradiction. Because then you would only see one vector, only things going towards the larger mass. But as we're describing here, there's things going against it. So obviously mass attracts mass doesn't work.
Yeah, that's Tommy's point. Yeah, you've got it in all vectors, debunking this notion of a single vector of down with gravity. And they're begging the question fallacy of gravity with buoyancy. Oh yeah, absolutely, it's debunking gravity.
Well, that's why they made the bending of space-time, which is complete fictional medium based, but it was basically to lead away the attention from the literal causal relation of the mass supposedly attracting the mass, for which there is no proof it's just it didn't work out, to it's the masses, but it's not the masses. It's just the culmination of the mass in an area that kind of not directly, but indirectly summons this attraction, which is described as the bending of space-time and like things falling fourth dimensionally into a hole.
Yeah.
But it
excellent.
is basically the replacement concept to draw away the independent variable from the literal mass itself.
Precisely. It's much easier to bullshit people in the abstract realm of maths, in pseudo-geometry that doesn't apply to reality. No, we don't live in a fourth-dimensional space-time reality. That's just a mathematical construct they use to describe things. And isn't it so much easier to just bullshit your way around bending geodesics in a space-time medium, a fabric that doesn't exist? Yeah, much easier than talking about something that physically should be happening in reality when they talk about a mass attracting a mass. Well, show me mass attracting mass. Well, it doesn't. Here's our Cavendish experiment.
Well, Nathan, they need dangly balls with a bending dick, otherwise it's not going to be complete.
Yeah, they need Reverend John Michel, CV Boys, and Cavendish with his contraption to claim mass attracts mass. It doesn't. It's 105 years out of date. It's been superseded by Einstein. And when Einstein replaced that nonsense, it was left in the dust by the bending of conceptual mediums known as space-time. That's what gravity is now. Hence, we've drawn a line in the sand. No longer will we laugh at you about your nonsense claim to be experiment called Cavendish. It isn't. It's not science. Pseudoscience. And why should we
replace exactly?
Again?
What did Einstein replace exactly?
Newtonian gravity.
Really?
Moving
So
on.
F equals ma has been replaced by what exactly?
I just told you. Are you deaf?
No, just explain it to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's not my claim. You explain it to me. It's your claim. Your gravity.
No,
you tell me. You tell me. You show me space-time. Show me space-time. It's your claim, not mine.
You said it's super.
I don't care what I said. It's your claim. I realise that we have to educate people on the other side of this argument about their nonsense in gravity. It's not my claim, though. It's nonsense. It's a bending fourth-dimensional medium labelled by Einstein as pseudo. So it's definitely not something I believe in. It's pseudo-nonsense by Einstein. However, that pseudo-nonsense I don't claim, don't believe in, and debunk on a daily basis that I'm not claiming you are, because you're a fundy globehead who believes in this shit. Well, that replaced Newtonian nonsense. Simple. I'm telling you about your rhetoric. Don't claim I'm claiming it. I'm not.
You said it's superseded, so...
Yeah, that's right. Superseded, that's right. No more mass attracting mass, superseded, correct. Yes, that's your priests telling us when they replaced it, who replaced it, how it replaced it, what it replaced it with. Your priests, not mine.
Yeah, and it wasn't that hard to do either.
F equals ma. What is it replaced
because Newton never claimed the hypothesis in the first place. So they had nothing they had to disprove first. There was no proof for it in the first place.
Right, F equals ma is maths. Maths. Yeah. Abstract. Maths.
Interesting.
Do you not understand? That's maths. That's not physics. We're dealing with the physical world. That's what we deal with on this show. You can babble your maths at me and I won't be interested because that's abstract, not physical. Shout out to Al Junkie, who says, Globers are confused with mass. And then he says, greater than hashtag mass turbation.
You mute this word.
Oh my God. Terrible. Why don't I read these before I read them out loud?
I'm just waiting for them now to start pushing entropic gravity.
Chocolate gravity?
Entropical gravity.
Oh God.
He broke up.
He said entropic gravity.
Oh God. Emergent forces.
It's a new thing.
Yeah. We'll hear that a lot.
I'm just start pushing that.
I don't know why they didn't just call the new gravity bending of space-time. Why they didn't just call it universal attraction? Because it's not the mass attracting it anymore. It's just the local presence of mass just creates a universal attraction.
Because it's not a force attracting. That's forcing one thing towards another. That's a force. It's not a force, though, is it? So, no.
Do you mean Newton's
no,
law of
but
universal
it's not-
gravitation?
No, we're not talking about Newton's law. Read my lips. Line has been drawn in the sand. No more Newton. It's
Can't really,
105
because you
years
never
out of
show your
date.
face.
105 years out of date. Superseded by your own words. That's correct. Yes, superseded. You've understood.
Superseded
Good.
with what exactly?
Let it go. Just let it go. 105 years out of date.
just
Let it
tell
go.
me.
Let it go, Fundy. We'll counsel you down from your Newtonian addiction. It's 105 years out of date, replaced by Einstein. Not my claim. Your Fundy pseudo claim. Okay?
Replaced with what, Nathan?
Einstein, are you deaf? My God, it's so difficult to listen to me explaining something that's been on the table for 105 years.
What has replaced F equals ma then?
Sorry, that's maths, isn't it? Yes, Nathan, that's maths. And what do we deal with here on Flat Earth Debate? Do we deal with mathematical reifications and abstractions? No, we don't. We deal with physicality and physics. Yeah? That's why I'm asking for scientific evidence of gravity. Not for you to give me maths.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, it's not fine. You've done it 4 times, making you a moron and worthy of having a strip torn off by a flat earther because you're deaf and stupid and can't listen. I ask for scientific evidence of gravity and he quizzes me about his own rhetoric in maths. You're thick.
He's very thick. I'd
You
like
only
for him
deal
to
with physical
define
things, then,
superseded.
So F equals MA is physical, is it, you absolute batshit crazy globehead moron? That's physical, is it?
Can you show
Math
it,
is
though?
abstract.
So you can ask me about what I can show. So I will get a concise question from this globe-believing moron, and I don't care if it takes an hour. So is F equals MA physics?
It describes the physical world.
Sorry, it describes. So let me get it straight. That would be a description, an abstraction, not physics, then, globe-believing moron having a strip tore off him by me, a flat earther. Not maths, not a description, not an abstraction. I'm asking for science! My God, you globe believers. How pathetic is this? He's come on to defend the globe belief. And what's he got to defend it with? He's got his maths. I'm asking for science, Dumbo. Haven't you got any science for this nonsense?
Yeah, so where's the physical...
Why are you asking me for physics now? I'm asking for any scientific evidence of gravity that would be based in physics. You're being asked for it.
Why are you funny muting me, Nathan?
I'm not fundy muting you. I'm asking you for
Why are
physics
you
and you're
fundy
asking me
muting
about F equals MA. That's maths. You've not yet conceded
said you
that
deal in
isn't
the physical
physics.
things.
You just fundy muting me.
So show...
You're fundy muting me,
show
you
the
projecting
physical
twat.
container.
So, while this fundy muter projects that he's been muted and talks through me, I'll say what is ignored. I'm asking for science. That's based in physics, the physical. The natural world, that's what we deal with.
Anything.
And he's fundy muting me, aren't you, scumbag? Scumbag projector. Fundy muting me for the second time while I try and repeat that which he cannot address. Because he's a projecting asshole who's going to fundy mute me while I try for the 8th time. Right, fundy muter? Maybe project that I'm muting you again. So no, I'll just say it once more. I've asked for science, that's based in physics. Physics is based in the physical and natural world. That's what we deal with because we're realists. In reality, we're flat earthers. I'm asking you, a zealot fundy with a globe belief in a model that isn't real, whether or not this maths of F equals MA is physics. And you've told me it's a description. And all descriptions are abstract, mate. My words and their meaning aren't physical. Your maths and its description isn't physical. Now enjoy the strip a flat earther is tearing off this globe-believing retard who doesn't understand the difference between maths and physics. I do. But I'm not a retard who believes in a globe. This man asking me questions about his fundy faith is a moron. And he's a globe believer. And very regularly, these globe believing morons will have a strip tore off them by flat earthers. Get used to it.
Can I ask him a question, please, Nathan?
You can ask him whatever you like. I'm done with
So
him.
where's this physical
Montel,
dome? If you deal in physical
Montel,
things.
can I ask you a question, mate?
Yeah, I'm actually waiting for this physical dome because Nathan only deals with physical things.
So I just want to ask you a question.
Please show
I just want to ask you a question.
Please show this physical container.
We heard you the first time.
He's not showing it, is he?
This formula,
you don't understand what
F times A, right?
He's shouting at me for 5 minutes.
It's called total chaos. That's all he's here for. Now he's talking about domes. That's a non sequitur fallacy that he's now trying to employ. It's not F equals MA. It's not a concession that he doesn't understand the difference between physics and maths. He's not conceded, but he wants to now strawman us with a non sequitur fallacy about a dome. He's not addressing his failings in logic, is he?
Well, you said it's an antecedent.
Sorry, I asked you if F equals MA was maths or physics, given that we deal in reality here on Flat Earth Debate, because we're flat earthers. You deal in models and reifications because you're a moron globehead who uses the fundy mute button. See, audience? He's just fundy muting me. Doesn't want to hear that he's dealing in maths and abstractions. He doesn't want to hear it, so he's fundy muting me again. Why are you fundy muting me? Oh, so I'm not talking now, so he doesn't need to talk, doesn't need to interrupt and fundy mute me. Yet you're dealing in maths and abstractions, mate. Descriptions? Yeah, we're dealing in the reality of the natural world. Because we're flat earthers, we're realists. And I would like you, the fundy who's quizzed us on your rhetoric, to accept that your maths is not physics. You're yet to do that, because you're pathetic.
Well, Montreal, I wanted to ask you a simple question, but you just couldn't help yourself, could you?
Just ask him, Brahmi. Just go.
He's on about this F equals MA, right? So I wanted to ask him, like, obviously, the more mass an object has, the more force it needs to accelerate. So I wanted to ask, like, do a little, like a thought experiment, that if we had like a ton of bricks and we had half a ton of bricks, which ton of bricks would drop faster? So that's a question I need him to ask, because answer, that's all. But he can't answer, he said he's muted.
Why? What's the point of your question?
Because I'm trying to work out like what he actually means by his own equation. He says like that mass times, obviously the more mass it has, the more force it would need to accelerate. So if it's going to have more, you'd assume there's going to be more force on the larger ton of bricks. So that therefore that should accelerate faster, right? By using that formula.
Still haven't answered me, Tommy. Who cares?
The part that he skipped at the beginning was superseded. So it's been superseded. It's 105 years old. They realize how BS it was, so they're not even going by it. But this guy is a relic from the past. He's still hanging on to it, and I'd like for him to define superseded, because he doesn't even know that.
Yeah, he's not going to do that. He's going to quiz us. He's going to quiz us on what superseded what.
Define antecedent. Does he know what antecedent means?
Going to quiz us on what he considers us to claim superseded something we're not claiming. We're laying out their rhetoric because we've drawn a line in the sand and said we're not going to have any more of this 105-year out-of-date superseded nonsense of a claim that mass attracts mass. We've had enough. It's 105 years out of date. That's what we're discussing. Now, while he's got his non sequitur fallacy to go onto domes and whatever crap when he's talking his maths, doesn't change the fact that he's talking about maths, we're talking about physics. He's got nothing but reification of description. Well, I'm not interested. We are flat earthers. We're interested in the physical and natural world. Not your maths, not your descriptions, not your reifications of models. We're interested in reality here. Science deals with physics of the natural world. So any scientific evidence that we're going to have is going to come from, for the sake of argument, your astrophysics people, your pseudoscience cosmology people. Yeah, all of these people are the people you need to appeal to for actual science. I mean, might as well ask that housekeeping question. Is there any viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Not even from
just
Becky.
Observation only.
Not yet.
For those of you in the audience who don't recognise, we're asking not for scientific evidence. We're asking for a viable cause and effect supposition, which is known as a scientific prediction. That's a hypothesis. We're saying any of the fields that up until now in 2020 have claimed to you, the audience, that they've got science for this bullshit claim we live on a sphere, ask them for a hypothesis, just a valid hypothesis, not even the tests to validate it, just a hypothesis that actually works as an actual hypothesis. They can't do it, but yet they're telling you they've got science. They've got nothing. They don't have any science, but yet they're under the banner of science lying to you about pseudoscience. They're not establishing cause.
They hide behind
So
the
they're
word math.
science deniers.
We're pseudoscience exposers. They are science deniers. I've got on record the guy from Vsauce, Michael, telling you in no uncertain times that science doesn't prove things. My rebuttal: so men are still dying of scurvy. Science didn't establish the cause being a lack of vitamin C. Through science, saving countless lives. Yes, science absolutely proves things, advancing humanity. But these dipshit globe believers will tell you that science doesn't prove things, because they are science deniers. We are pseudoscience exposers, and these fields, astronomy, cosmology, they're all pseudosciences. None of them got scientific validity, and we expose that while actually asking for actual science, which you haven't got if you're a globe believer. You got fantasies and just so stories.
How dare you ask for science?
Sorry, Neil. I got in a bit. Will you finish, Neil?
Finish, Neil? Did you want to say something else? Neil? Neil! Go on, Brian.
You got...
Okay. Hey, no, I actually only got an example of that in the past 10 minutes, where someone I was commenting to earlier claimed to have an experiment and involved water in a barrel. And that when you put the barrel on its side, the water that's at the bottom goes down still, like goes along the side of the barrel. When you roll the barrel, the water stays at the bottom, right? This is to do with relative density equilibrium. And I said that's not. I just said to him, but before I explained how he was wrong in his assertion, I won't go into it. I said to him that's not an experiment. And he came back and told me it was an experiment. That his hypothesis was that there was water in a barrel and that there was an external force acting on the barrel and all the contents of it. That's
What?
That's what they come up with. This is what you get on a regular basis of them. You know,
That's not
the
our
hypothesis, that there's water in a barrel and there's an external force acting on it. What's that a hypothesis of? What's the claim? What is this external force? You know, there's a million questions there. What is this? Where is the cause and effect? What do we validate from this? You know, they don't have a clue, like these people.
Yeah, but what is the phenomena observed in the first place?
Exactly.
Water in a barrel, supposedly.
That naturally occurring water in a barrel.
Yeah, and when you put the barrel on its side, the naturally occurring water in the barrel is naturally on the side of the barrel. We don't naturally see water in barrels.
You answered the question. You put the barrel on its side.
I think we've solved this little scientific conundrum, haven't we? Wow. That took a long time.
I think we have them over a barrel.
Yeah.
Moving on. And was there anything else? Anybody? Any more? Single viable hypothesis, any of the fields, cosmology, astrophysics, astronomy. Anybody? Any evidence of a
not that I know of.
self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth? Any evidence of that?
Yummy marshmallows over fire.
Yummy molten core.
The actually only real life part of that they have to back up the story is that convection is a thing. But that's part of the story. So that's the only part, the actual only real world thing that they have to back that story. Convection.
Yeah, but when they attach it to a just so story, that's just a just so story with an example that it can demonstrate in simplistic terms that they're trying to apply to something they haven't established the cause of.
You see, they were actually very dumb when making a claim what the radius is, because now they have a set depth that they had to go to, and they couldn't even get to that depth.
Yeah, they haven't got a clue. No one knows anything about the ground beneath our feet. Very limited. What is it, 12 kilometres, just under, they dug down to?
Yep.
8 miles. They got it wrong every mile down.
Yeah, P waves and S waves failed them. They didn't get the predictions right of what they'd be drilling through.
And yet they would know what happens on planets and stuff so far away.
Yeah, they know
Even
they know what's at the
planet.
centre of the sun. Of course. Even based on their astronomical distances when they assume Venus is the same size as the presupposed spherical Earth with its R value. They know what's in the middle of that. Right? Telespectroscopy. Okay, let's move on.
Well,
Go on, Tent. Go on.
Well, I was just going to revisit the black swan here. I mean, obviously they don't have the R here that they say they have. So if they have that wrong, and Flatso said it earlier, then everything is wrong about Venus and all this fantasy world that they're making. So they don't even have R here.
Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius?
Not even close.
Well,
Anybody aware of the measurement, visual aspect of Dr. John D? He saw clear through to France from
That's
England.
been verified. He showed me that, and we discussed it before he released it. And I said, tread very carefully, given that we declared that we could see Ireland. Remember? For anybody who's a dedicated Flat Earth debate watcher.
Remember, yeah.
I don't know if I would be so keen to openly declare that little smudge on the horizon a not physical location before we get off the beaten path of the point here, R value evidence. The horizon's not a physical place, but nevertheless that little blur that is claimed potentially to be France may or may not be France. However, the evidence that's presented by Dr. John D is a black swan. The horizon is behind the wind turbines he has in his example. You can even see the high and low watermark. You don't really need anything else to affirm a black swan. It doesn't need a claim of being able to see France either. So, yeah, you could claim it. Maybe someone will claim that it's France. And I don't think... hold on a second. How do you know that? How do you know this? Because I discussed this with Dr. John D, but I don't believe he put it in his video, did he? How do you know this?
No,
What's going
I'll
on?
tell you how. Ranty did a breakdown of it. He did the measurements, and it appears to be France, Nathan.
Appears to be. It's absolutely
Right.
unequivocally a black swan with the wind turbines. So what's this might be weaseliness? What do you mean it might be, appears to be? I know it appears to be,
I'll
I've
go
seen
with
it.
that. We're not 100% sure, but it's still a black swan, agreed.
Yeah, I'm not attacking you, Montreal. You're just the messenger. But if it is Ranty, tread with caution. You know, why speculate? I don't know. How much weight did he lend to this? He might have just mentioned it in passing, for all I know.
No, he did a whole thing, Nathan. He did a presentation. He measured it, and look, I trust Ranty. Now, if he got it wrong, I don't know, but
I'm not saying he's got
like
it
you
wrong.
said,
But
it's still a black swan.
Hold on. Rewind. No. I'm not saying he's got it wrong. I looked at it, lined it up with the wind turbines with Dr. John D before he released it. I've just explained this. And it appears to be France. I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat your terminology. Yeah, I agree. It appears to be France. However, it's absolutely without question a black swan. And that demolishes, literally obliterates the heliocentric argument. So my only advice to Ranty would be tread with caution. The speculation isn't necessarily required. Unless you want to fight. Not with me. With whoever is going to object to it.
I agree, I admire
Yeah,
your
it's-
tenaciousness on this. Agreed.
Yeah,
What I
it's where you're trying to it's where you're trying to put the point. The point shouldn't be I can see France. The point should be you see too far.
Well, that's it. It's only really useful if you're going to use if you're going to step into their reification and start showing side-on Muppet vision to say we should or shouldn't see this based on a model. Well, number one, I hate those examples because why is it that we're asserting as flat earthers how much we should or should not see based on what they say our Earth is with a model? Well, we shouldn't. I don't claim that a model says how much I should or shouldn't see. What we see is what we see. That's presented to us by our eyeballs, not by what a model predicts with mathematics in side view when it ignores perspective. So While you might be able to take their reification that step further by saying, look how far it is. Well, yeah, that's only useful when you've stepped into their reification and their mathematics of globe.
Yeah, we're
It's
definitely
worth-
playing in their arena when we do that. That goes without question.
Got to beg the question of a globe first to make that example useful. And for me, I can take their example that they claim with geometry, assert it with the black swan that's presented in that very video, and say, look, here's the low and high water mark on the wind turbines. Distance, I can't remember the exact one, but I'm just going to guess probably a bit lower than this, but I think it was 3 miles to the horizon. The wind turbines are well beyond 10, the furthest one at least. You can see the high and low water mark on it, and the horizon's behind it. You've got no earth curve geometry. We've already gone through this a few times. We've already had the responses. What's their response to that assertion? Forget about France for a moment. The response is, quote, we do not see the geometric horizon. That's their rebuttal. That's the globers telling us, we don't see earth curve. We've won. What do we need France for? We don't need it.
You're right. Yep. Can't argue with that, bro.
What I would say about it is that when I saw this the other night, I saw it on Ranty's stream. First thing I said is that the border is going to latch onto that, and they have. Ski Man Dan was the first to publicly come out and latch onto it. I don't know all the details of that, but I know he's latched onto it. And what's happening is they're going to either validate that it isn't France, or validate that we can't validate it's France. So consequently, the whole point is they're moving the argument away from the black swan element of what Dr. John Dee actually did. They're moving it into whether this is France or not. And so it becomes a mutated argument, and they are being given a doorway to avoid the main argument, which destroys their model. And also at the same time, if they can validate that we can't validate that it's France, then that also throws mud onto the whole of what Dr. John Dee did. They can then hand wave the whole lot away, because that's what they need. They don't need, what they always look for is anything they can find to hand wave something away, because they don't have anything to fight back against Flat Earth. They have to find things to hand wave away whatever evidence we put forward. And this is what they need.
Well,
do you understand?
They just ignore it, though, most of the time, and then resort back to their own very primitive, underdeveloped straw man conception of what our flat Earth model is supposed to be like. And that's usually what they do. And then they make us try to explain to them why our model does work, which is like a very elaborate process, very complex to really do that.
Really?
And they're never going to listen anyway,
works,
so they're just
Arwin.
wasting our time every time.
There's no turning back from this.
Arwin. Yeah, so Arwin, when you talk about this equilibrium thing with the whole relative density, what does that mean? Does that mean things go to the path of least resistance?
Hold on, let me just get control. Can you let Ed get his question through to Arwin? Just Arwin and Ed, please. Go ahead, Ed. Can you repeat your question for Arwin? Please don't interrupt him.
Yeah, so if you say equilibrium, do you mean things go through the path of least resistance?
What?
When it seeks the equilibrium?
Question, Arwin, is does the item you're describing seek the path of least resistance in your description? He's paraphrasing and asking if that's correct. Would you agree?
I haven't considered. I don't know. Probably, yeah. It will move like diagonally, if that is the only path it is left to maneuver towards. That makes it slightly closer to its equilibrium point. So if you put a big lead ball on a slope that's 45 degrees down, yeah, it will start to roll off. That's right.
Right. So does that mean it follows the path of least resistance?
Just agreed. Don't ask him the same question. He's just answered you.
Right. So if there's less,
hold on, Brian. I just want to hear Ed respond.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Ed.
If you have a body of water, or like the atmosphere, the more you go up, the less dense it is. So how come things don't move upwards if it's the path of least resistance?
Because the thing falling through it's more dense, you fuckwit. Are you dense?
That's ridiculous, mate. It shows you don't understand that you don't understand what's being said.
The
That's all
path
that
of least
demonstrates.
resistance, it only works like up to 180 degrees. You see?
But regardless of the fact that the stuff higher up is even less dense, the thing travelling through it is more dense than all of it, therefore has a downward vector. Doesn't matter that there's slightly less dense stuff above that. It's more dense than all of it combined. So it's going to have a downward vector because it's more dense. How thick are you?
It's back. It's actually got it backwards. It goes to show that don't even understand what we're saying. They don't understand anything that flat earthers are saying. You guys need to actually understand the arguments before you attack them.
Exactly. No, I'm just asking
Tommy's
a question based on relative density and the path of least resistance.
But if I ask you a question,
doesn't make sense then if it goes down towards where things are more dense.
If I ask you a question about the time and I started talking about continents, would you think to yourself, hang on, this guy don't know what he's
let
about?
me answer, Ed. It's not about what the thing, like where, what is down there, you know? It only depends, the relative density situation and the disequilibrium, on what the object, or whatever it is directly surrounded by. So you can dig a giant hole in a mountain, very, very deep, right through the mountain, and an object will fall all the way down there because, within that tube, it's going to be surrounded by air, which is less dense than the object, presumably. And it's going to continue falling until it can no longer, until it's being obstructed from maneuvering further.
Why?
Which
what
is
happened to
at
all
the bottom of the well,
mountain
basically.
that's surrounding it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Owen. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, so what happened to all the mountain that's surrounding it?
Is there a point to all of this, Ed?
Oh,
no,
moving.
Just 1 second.
And you
Owen.
didn't answer the question, actually.
Yeah, I
Why did you
realised
ask
that.
such a
You didn't answer my
Why did you ask
question.
such a stupid question?
Sorry,
If it
just-
if it has to
understand the argument,
Tommy, you're not helping. Tommy, Tommy,
reasons,
Tommy,
relax.
hello. You're not helping.
What's up? What's up?
I just need you to shut up. What's your point, Ed?
If you're gonna say it's relative density and the path of least resistance, things should move through things that are less dense and go towards the less dense points. But they don't. They go to points that are more dense. Why
Do
is that?
they? Stop a second. They go to the less dense, do they? According to you. So if I look at a rock on the ground, it's going to go flying up to the less dense medium, is it, you complete tard?
That's what I'm asking. That should happen if it's relative density, isn't it?
Or are you describing something that's
Why
been...
are you mad, Nathan?
He's just going to talk through me, asshole. Are you describing something that's already been taken out of equilibrium by any chance?
I was actually asking Arwin.
Yeah, and that's not answering my question. My question's simple. Are we describing a rock on the ground that is obviously not flying up into the least dense medium, because it in and of itself is more dense than the medium when in equilibrium? My question, which I've now elaborated on, is were you asking a question about something that was already in disequilibrium? No answer so far.
What does that even mean?
It means, are you describing a rock on the ground which obviously completely violates your point because it's not flying up into the less dense air from the ground? But if your point is about a rock that you've picked up, forcing it out of equilibrium, it's still equally not going to fly up out of your hand as described in your example, but it's already in disequilibrium. But you've dodged it now 3 times. My question about whether or not you're asking about something that presumably you have forced out of equilibrium, and your question's beginning at the point that you're holding a rock and then dropping it and asking why this rock you've taken out of equilibrium isn't flying up out of your hand.
Resistance and this whole relative density thing, shouldn't it?
You don't understand it.
I'm glad you agree. I'm glad you agree, Nathan.
For a second, the
You just
relative
debunked it.
Total chaos ensues.
No, I actually didn't ignore anything. I'm glad you debunked Nathan.
I asked a question you yet to answer, Ed. You haven't answered me.
Well, you made a whole bunch of claims just now.
Do you need me to repeat the question? Are you still as stupid as when we talked earlier? Can't listen to the question? Do you need it paraphrasing in more simplistic terms? Maybe less syllables per word? You haven't answered me, Ed.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Because it's your claim.
No, I'll ask again, Ed.
So,
I'll ask
please.
again. Nice and slowly. Is this example starting with a rock being held in the air, or is the rock on the ground being asked, why isn't it flying up into the less dense medium? Which rock on the ground, or already having had a lot of energy put in it, picking it up? What kind of rock is in your example, Ed?
Both.
So you don't understand the argument.
Shut up, Tommy!
Both.
Tommy, shut up!
I said both of them.
Sorry, it's both simultaneously a rock on the ground, and you're asking why the rock on the ground isn't flying up into the air, and a rock in your hand that you've taken out of equilibrium. It's both, is it? That's nonsensical stupidity. Are we done here?
So you can't answer?
I can't answer the question I've asked you about whether or not this rock is in disequilibrium or on the ground. The question I've asked you, you're now saying, I can't answer that. Yeah, you're done here, Ed.
I said both, so...
Both. Simultaneously on the ground and in his hand, waiting to be dropped, having been picked up. No, that's an impossibility and total moronic nonsense.
Really? You can't have two rocks in reality?
So it's two rocks now, is it, moron? So I asked specifically, is your rock singular? Now it's two rocks because you can't answer me. Let me answer for the audience's benefit why this moron globehead won't answer. His rock that he's asking Arwin has been picked up like a microphone by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And his example starts with the microphone, or in this case rock, already in disequilibrium. He's then going to ask why the item he's picked up, taking it out of equilibrium, isn't, rather than returning to equilibrium, going to fly up into the sky. Now explain to me why this mic, when I drop it, having already picked it up, isn't flying up, because obviously above it's less dense. Let's ignore that I've had to pick it up to make the example. Now, he's not going to ever justify the fact that I'm quizzing him on his ignorance of the picking up bit. He's just going to say it's simultaneously on the ground and having been picked up. Total nonsense from a globetard who's getting his ass handed to him by a flat earther for the second time in a single show. So he's got to say, it's both on the ground and in my hand. What a moron. That's what you got, fundies, when you need to assert your single downward vector with examples that start with you picking stuff up and dropping them, but ignoring the picking up bit. Right, Ed?
Like, how
total silence.
We talked about relative density now. If you're not getting it, then you're not getting it on purpose.
Montreal, you don't understand.
Can I say something about
let me guess.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking questions, but you're not explaining.
Try to understand something first before you ask the question. You're not
There's a Tommy and Ed conversation going on that you're talking over. Go ahead, Tommy and Ed. If it's more than ad hom, or if it isn't, I'll stop you straight away. Go ahead, Tommy.
I was just saying to Montreal that the fact that he asked that question just demonstrates that he isn't understanding what Arwin's saying, or what the correct claim of relative density is. I think he's in his head. He's saying it gives it directionality. I think it's something from Simon Danted, or the air above it's less dense, then why don't it go up? That's some complete straw man and a misrepresentation and a misunderstanding of the actual argument. So that's all I have to say on that, really.
Right on. Ed, did you want to respond, and then Chocolate? Then Chocolate, then Brian. Ed, go ahead. Chocolate, go ahead.
No, good morning, first off. I just got here.
Hello.
Morning.
What's up?
Chocolate.
No, I was wondering if this was the same argument, the nonsensical argument of, why are things going up? Because there's less, the air up is less dense. Is that what I walked into?
No, we haven't got to net force zero with things in equilibrium yet, if that's your question. No, we haven't reached that stage.
Okay. I
Brian,
was just checking.
but I'm sure we'll get there. We're running out of live time, but we'll get there. I'm certain of it in the after show. Go ahead, Brian.
Thanks, Nathan. Sorry for talking in there over you.
It's fine. Everyone's keen. It's all good.
Tommy is correct. Ed doesn't understand what it is. He has no understanding. He's actually asking questions about it, but he's also at the same time he's not wanting to understand. All matter needs structural support. Matter is physical. It all needs structural support. So when density of matter, right, causes weight. So if you take raindrops coming from the sky, that little small drop of rain is more dense than the gases that surround it. So the gases that surround it can't structurally support that drop of rain. So it has to land either on another liquid or on a solid for structural support. So Ed, if you think of it like this, rain falls down because the gases that surround it can't support its density. The density of the drop of rain, the density of the gases that surround the drop of rain is not enough to structurally support the drop of rain. That's why things fall down. Now, the other side of that is you have gases like helium that are less dense than other gases like oxygen. So oxygen can support helium. If you put oxygen and helium into a closed container, the helium, if you put the two into a container, the helium is more likely to be up at the top of the container and the oxygen will be at the bottom of the container. Because the oxygen has enough structural support for the helium. But it won't work the other way around because the helium doesn't have enough structural support for the oxygen. So if you think about things in structural support, they don't go try to put foundations onto water. They put foundations onto solid ground when they're building something. It's the same thing. It's engineering. You have to think of it in an engineering sense. Yeah, all density of matter needs structural support. That's how it works.
That's a good
Quick
one.
shout out
Can I
to
add something onto that?
Just before you do, quick shout out to Unitox Femu, who says, "Still on stage. Who moved the rock refraction?" Okay, thank you very much for the super chat. Was it Flatsoid? Go ahead.
No, it was me.
Go ahead, Arwin.
Our accents are not that much alike, thank you. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to add on for the clarification for people like Ed that are thick, that, yeah, the relative part in the relative density is not relative directions of the displacement. The displacements are very much set. They're set on a very specific vector that, yeah, it can basically try to find the path of least resistance, evading because of that from that specific vector. But the vector is always set and it never changes. It's up and down in a natural state, and you would have to add other forces or diagonal obstructions to cause it to evade from that specific vector. So yeah, the relative density directions are set. They are not relative. The relative only relates to the relation between the object and the medium. That's what the relative is about, not the directions. The directions are very much set.
Perfect. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Well, there's this myth apparently about this gravity thing that acts as a container when they want it to.
Yeah, gravity doesn't give them a container, Tommy.
That's what they believe. They think it's containing it and causing the gas pressure in it. This invisible force that pulls things and pushes things and does things that doesn't do things, and you can see it and you can't see it. It's literally their god.
Well, alas, gravity doesn't make gas go down, go boom boom like bouncy balls in a fish tank, as asserted by Thunderfoot. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smash the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. Stay tuned if you are watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
lovely day!
Pressure on Earth.
But
And
it
since
has
there is gas pressure on the Earth, that means that
Because that's the
the
path
banana
of least
face
has
must
to be.
fit.
No,
There's
no, no.
other way.
You don't understand the
But-
argument of
but-
relative
but-
density
it-
to
it
say
has
that,
to
but I
be.
want you to give me your thought process behind it so we can really expose.
Then explain
because
it when I
When you
ask
ask a question
something.
with such conviction, like you understand what you're talking about, right? We need
Ed
to
thinks
realize
you
what your thought process
Jump out
was
of a
behind that.
plane, a person should go up.
But you're not
But calm down,
explaining
Nathan.
anything.
Well, you think you're talking to me like you know the argument better,
I've
saying that
heard
it should
that
go up,
before.
right?
Oh my gosh.
Yes,
No,
yes.
that's
Well, you
what's
asked the question.
popping.
You asked the question why it's going up because you was acting like you knew what it was all about. So you're coming and going, why don't it go up then if relative density is the core?
Exactly, Tommy. You hit it right in the head. He's not asking a question to learn. He's asking a
Yes, I
question
am. I want
asserting.
to know what your
No, you're not.
claims are.
That's not a real
Well,
question.
you see,
Do you record this part too?
It was
Yeah.
broken down to you and you ignored it.
So you would like to tell us, right?
No.
Since you know what the relative density argument is, and you see the problems with it, with the question you asked, you can see a problem with it, right? So I just want you to elaborate on that problem because you understand relative density so fucking well. You understand it better than the people that are trying to tell you
That's
about
what
it.
I did.
That's what you come across, yeah? You come across like, oh, well, why didn't it go up then? Like you understand what
Right,
relative
no.
density is. I want you to give me your definition of relative density. Don't come in here and asking us to spoon feed you and teach you every single about it because you've just demonstrated
Yeah,
you're not
so
able
I
to learn
asked-
anything.
Can you
Go
stop
ahead, Tommy.
talking? Yeah. So I asked a specific question, and I was asked questions in return, which I answered. Then I got shouted
What?
down, and my question was
Did you hear
never
what I said?
answered.
Can you respond to what I'm actually saying?
Yeah.
This is the problem with the educational system. The educational system, like you, right? They've indoctrinated you not to think for yourself, just to read something in a book and repeat it. I want you to explain your thought
Yeah,
process.
so
Shut up.
reasons.
Shut up. I want you to explain your thought
Reasons.
process to me about
No,
the
I'm not
question
gonna
you
shut
asked.
up.
I want the thought process.
Reasons. Do you realize that thinking for yourself also means you ask questions?
And I want to know why you asked that question as if you understood the relative density argument. That's
And
my
I want to
point.
know why you
So I
asked
want
that
you to
question.
explain,
I'm asking questions because it doesn't make sense to me.
why doesn't it make
That's
sense? Now
right.
explain how it doesn't make sense. Why you thought that was a logical point to go to. Why would you think that's a logical answer?
Ed.
Bricks would go up in the air if you wouldn't.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
I know,
You
I'm
know
asking
why?
you five times.
You know why? You know why? Because I think for myself,
Ed,
and it doesn't make
Wait,
sense.
wait,
to
You
me.
don't listen, do you?
Ed,
You are a
Do
big
you-
idiot.
do you agree we have an alignment of materials based on the density?
But bro,
On this,
why would
on
you
this
ask
earth?
that?
Well,
That's
he's part of that.
literally-
Let's be honest. You got it from
Nothing to do
Simon
with
Dan.
what we're
You
saying.
got it from Simon Dan. You come in here arguing his argument, but you don't understand why it's
Chocolate, I
That's
feel
my
like we're doing
question,
the play-by-play as we're watching.
Yeah,
the movie.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, I got nothing.
Yeah,
for
you did.
time.
Yeah, you did.
Tommy is correct. Tommy is
That's-
correct.
You can't tell me what you
Because-
think about it. So obviously, you never come from you. If you thought for yourself, you would
That's a
explain.
nice.
If it came from
thing.
you, you'd be able to explain why you thought it up. But you haven't.
Yeah,
Ed, you're
that's-
disingenuous,
That's
Ed.
my explanation is actually in the question.
No, it isn't. Explain. No, explain it. What your
Yes,
thought
it
process.
is.
Why?
Let
You heard Arwin talk
Everyone shut
about-
up.
you
Let
heard-
Ed explain it then. You can't just put that on the table
Right.
and not let him explain it. Everyone shut up.
The question is very simple. If you're saying things go down because of relative density and it goes through the path of least resistance, then shouldn't it go up where there's less resistance?
Is that?
Very simple question.
Yeah, I answer.
It's not being answered.
I answer.
Wrong.
Is the rock the same density as the air on the that you're talking about?
Nathan
on top?
answered it. You didn't listen.
No, he didn't. Ed. Do you know the rock in front of me?
Ah.
It's not going down, mate.
Why?
The rock in front of me, I'm looking at one. Do I need to put it on camera? I'm not joking. I'm looking at a rock
Go
right
ahead.
now. It's not
Mhm.
going down, Ed. Yeah? Now, when I asked you earlier,
Why?
time for the fundy mute button? When I asked you earlier, was the rock you're describing forced into disequilibrium having been picked up by you? And your answer was to tell me that the rock you were describing was both simultaneously, as I've just described, not going down. You clown, you idiot, you moron.
That's not
Rocks
what I
don't go
said.
down. And why are you fundy muting me? Clown, moron, idiot. This rock isn't going down. I asked you to clarify, was it a rock you'd picked up? that you were then going to ask why isn't flying off from your hands into sky. Now, you didn't clarify. You gave a stupid, moronic, idiotic globehead answer and said that it's both on the ground having Fundy mute time. So you gave me a stupid, moronic, idiotic, thick as shit answer from a globe and believing moron. You said it was both simultaneously on the ground having not Fundy mute time. Having not been picked up, it's on the ground, not going down, and it's Fundy mute time. Why are you Fundy muting me? Is it because I'm raping you? I think it is. So I'm going to summarise your stupidity, Ed, whether you like it or not. All I'm trying to do for the audience's benefit is repeat back the absolute stupid shit he said to me. And he's not allowing the stupid shit he said to me to come back with the tone that I'm using, which is to say, you fucking retard. You told me that it was 2 rocks, one on the ground having not been picked up and one you're fucking holding having put into disequilibrium, to then ask us why it's not flying up your hands into the sky. Yeah, that's fucking stupid though. Now, I raped you with that shit and you accused me of muting you, while you simultaneously projected what you were actually doing, which was talking through me raping your argument, and then teabagging you with my salty nuts. To say that you've taken a rock out of equilibrium is to assert the cause when you took it out of equilibrium. But fuckwits like you and Simon Dan will describe an effect ignoring how you've achieved the first initial premise of the effect you're describing. In this case, picking up a rock and dropping it, but asking us why it doesn't fly off upwards. What, the rock you put in disequilibrium by picking it up? Yeah, you're just not going to answer that, though. You'll talk about 2 rocks, right, fuckwit? That's me insulting you as a fuckwit clown. Again, tearing a strip off you for the 3rd time this show. Moron globe-believing retard being humiliated by a flat earther for his abject stupidity and belief in a retard like Simon Dan when he asks a moronic question that's malformed and ignores the part where you take the rock out of equilibrium.
Nobody ever addresses that.
Professor.
Hold on. Nobody ever
Both
addresses that. Why is
Both
nobody
scenarios,
addressing it?
I'm still wondering where anyone when everyone's
scenarios.
Hold on, Ed. I'm wondering
Why
where
are you never addressing the rock you picked up?
When you picked up one that's playing there, explain both.
When did Darwin?
Oh, sorry, when I pick one up. So this is something that happens in nature, is it? This always down vector of when I pick something up. It's gone from your example about things always going down. Now you've just decided to what? Concede that you're having to pick the fucking thing up first? There's your cause!
No.
Not a downward vector, you stupid globe-believing retard! You picked it up! You picked it up, globe-believing retard. Now just conceding it and carrying on with your example like that doesn't matter. You've established why the thing's in midair then. You picked it up!
Both scenarios.
What, the scenario where you pick it up?
And the one that's like...
And the one where it's not going down. That doesn't have your example being anything like coherent. It's not going down like you're asking us to justify why it ain't going up and is about to go down. It's not going down if you haven't picked it up, though, is it? So I ask you, with this rock on the ground, I ask you, moron globe-believing retard, why it isn't going up, and I answer while he Fundy mutes the shit out of me, because he's getting rumpused.
You don't
right?
stop
Yeah,
talking.
you're getting rumpused while you tell me about these 2 rocks. Yeah? I've answered for the rock you gave in your example, taken from a retard, Simon Dan, who you didn't understand his little trick of picking something up, dropping it, and asking why it ain't going up. Ignoring the fact he had to pick it up, and rocks don't generally fly up into the air, and they only have any lateral movement if you inject energy by picking them up. And you've got the reason why they went down in that instance, because you picked them up, mate.
What's keeping it on the floor then?
Oh, here we go. I knew. Who is it who had money on? Oh, it was chocolate, wasn't it? When we're going to get into net force 0? Sorry, it doesn't have a fucking vector. Sorry. Are you going to tell me that it's being kept down by the mathematics of 9.8 meters per second? Because it ain't moving.
I'm asking you.
Sorry, it ain't moving.
It
doesn't have a vector. Are you going to tell me that the maths of a vector of when things are moving is holding it there? Because it isn't moving.
Down, Nathan?
It's not moving. It's not going down. That's what I started with.
To ask that question.
It is not. Guys.
What's keeping it up? What's keeping it down there?
Sorry, your question to us was why isn't it flying off into the air? And now you're asserting to me, why isn't it flying off into the air when it's on the ground doing nothing? Because it's more dense than the medium it's in.
What's confusing me? How to say that?
It's less dense up. It's less dense up. So path of least resistance.
No, it's at the bottom. It's in equilibrium.
The medium is less dense.
The medium is dense. Chocolate. It's dense. Talks through it while it's being laid out to him. We'll have to lay it out with him Fundy muting us about 25 times because he's Fundy muting, which means he's not listening.
The problem here.
The medium.
I want to ask him a question. I want to ask him this path of least resistance, right? When did Arwen or anyone explain
Chocolate? You're getting rumpus by Tommy. Tommy's got no respect for anybody else on the panel, mate. You're going to have to learn a bit of respect for other people.
Sorry about
that. Tommy's mad hype. I get it.
I specifically asked Arwen.
It's really.
You can roll.
That's the problem. Let me just, Tommy. Hold on, Chocolate. The problem is, Tommy, when you do that, the Fundy asshole that's being obliterated is his opportunity to then talk over Chocolate, which is what exactly he has just done. So when you interject like that, the Fundy will take it, and now I've done it. Technically, he'll do the same thing to Chocolate when he starts a third time. He'll take the gap to mean he can then start rumpusing the shit out of whatever Chocolate's going to try and say. Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah, I apologise. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
No, you're good. You're good, bro. Listen, Ed, the medium is less dense, not the rock. Why would you ever think the rock would go up?
If it's the path of least resistance, the more up you go, the less air there is.
But what's it resisting? It's not moving. What do you think it's resisting? Resisting what? Resisting the less dense air that it's more dense than? It doesn't have to put up much of a fight, mate. It's more dense than it.
I have something I have to say.
Said it goes down.
This
it's just that it's going down. It's not moving, you moron. I know you want to apply 9.8 meters per second to something that ain't fucking moving. It's not going down, you clown show. It's only going down if you take a retarded example from someone like Simon Dan, who's picked something up first and then starts their example. But that all falls to shit when I point out that a rock on the ground ain't going down. Now, I know this dipshit Simon Dan's giving you an example where he starts with it in equilibrium, but we've already pummeled that now, haven't we? But you're too slow and constantly interrupt when we point it out like now. See? These fuckwits that claim I mute them is just interrupting it. Rather than listening to it, your Simon Dan example shit. Yeah, Fundy mute time. Yeah, I know. It's time to Fundy mute me. Yeah, I know. Yes, your Simon Dan example... Neil, please. Your Simon Dan example is shite because he starts... I haven't even heard this. I don't watch Simon Dan. The guy's a fucking moron. Shut up. I know you can't tolerate listening to it. I've already said you'll have to have it 25 times, right? Are you talking through it every time? Because you're so dense with your globe belief that you can't tolerate hearing something that contradicts your belief. I know. Simon Dan gave you an example that started in disequilibrium. He just didn't mention that. Now, without even watching him, I know that he's done that because I know how thick Simon Dan is. Thick as shit. You didn't understand his example, as pointed out by someone on the panel, but you started parroting it, having not understood the little magic trick he used, without anyone to challenge him on his little solo videos in his echo chamber. He started his example without me there to say, have you picked this up first? Because there's your answer for the vector it's going to take. Oh, what's that? If you don't pick it up, you can't assign a vector at 9.8 meters per second because it ain't moving. Yeah, but you haven't recognised that because you didn't listen to us. You talked through us. And you definitely didn't understand Simon Dan, who is in himself a retard. You took those retard words and parroted them to us and then talked through us taking a dump on them. That's all you've done.
That's absolutely accurate. 100% what he's done.
If you pick up the rock, there's more air.
Then you've picked it up. There's your cause. You want to establish cause and effect? There's your cause. You picked it up, you dumb shit. But you don't have an example to assign a downward vector to unless you pick it up. And we've pointed that out 5 times. So what, another 15 times before it goes through to the thick zealot who believes he's on a globe. Literally, it will take 15 to 20 attempts before this dick even comes close to acknowledging it. And if he does, he might do what he's done, which is start asking us why it's going down when it ain't moving.
What he's doing, right, is at the very start. Hang on, Ed, be quiet.
Ed,
be quiet.
Stop.
Be quiet. What he's doing,
as the rock
right, is at the start. I tried to interject, but I couldn't at the start.
He's rumpusing you. What he's doing is he's saying, as the rock goes down, it's not going down. I've just explained this. It's been 6 times now that I've explained that the rock on the ground, having not been picked up by Simon Dan, isn't going down. But he absolutely must assign a downward vector to this non-moving rock. And he's going to rumpus you indefinitely to not have to listen to us pointing out that his assignment of a downward vector isn't applicable unless he picks it up first. He's too thick. It's going to take at least 14 more tries.
Below it, it's more than.
What's
just
happening
admitted that.
here?
He said the one he picked up is going.
What happened here is that you came in asking, will the rock?
He's rumpusing. He's just causing constant chaos, Brian. He won't allow it.
Yeah.
The path
Shut the fuck up, man.
Scale of
So other people can talk.
No, try now.
Path of least resistance could be to the left.
Tommy, you're not hosting the show. Tommy, did you not hear the appeals for everyone else to shut up while Brian talks? Try and pay more attention to what's going on, please. Go ahead, Brian.
What? Thank you, Nathan. What happened was he came in and he started asking about things going in the path of least resistance, and I knew what he was up to. And I tried to get Arwen. I tried to interject, but Arwen gave me the example of a steel ball will roll down a hill, right? But what he's doing is he's latching onto this path of least resistance nonsense, because neither him nor Ski Man Dan have any idea what relative density equilibrium is. They don't understand it. And they both have this fundy belief that weight is caused by mass times acceleration, which is g. So they're latching onto this mass times acceleration and asking us, how come the rock is not going straight up into the air? When the whole least path of, the whole idea of things moving in the path of least resistance is nothing to do with us. We never claim any of that. We don't say that. That's from their side. So he's bringing in something from his side, a misunderstanding, and also a straw man. And he's coming into us with it, asking us why the rock is not going up. Well, we never claimed the rock to be going up in the first place. We didn't claim that. That's from his side and his misunderstanding. And at the same time, him and Ski Man Dan have a belief of this mass thing that's being accelerated by this 9.8 meters per second squared mathematical equation. They don't have a clue what he's talking about. And I don't think he listened to anybody that tried to tell him about it.
Yeah, it's got 9.8 meters per second acceleration, which all falls to shit if your example doesn't have someone picking something up and then dropping it, ignoring the bit where you pick it up. Well, yeah, you can pick something up, force it out of equilibrium, drop it, and watch it return from whence it came. Yeah, that will happen. But of course, if you ignore the fact that you've picked it up and then ask, why has this got a downward vector? Well, because you picked it up out of equilibrium. What if I ask about a helium balloon and I do the same and drop the helium balloon? Why has it got a downward vector? Oh, it fucking hasn't.
Indeed. And if I can add something to that to try and clarify it a little better, the path of least resistance doesn't literally alter the vector of the relative density displacement. It simply causes a transition of a resistance against the direct downward force and translate that to lateral, because it's pushing against a diagonal surface, so it's going to find the path of least resistance. It will still go down, though, because if at some point this slope ends and it just becomes a ravine, it will take a slight arc and then goes down, 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 straight down eventually once again. Because that is the direction that relative density, this equilibrium, will push it at. And if it's something is stopping it from going directly to that vector, then yeah, it will find the path of least resistance. But that will always be secondary. It doesn't actually, it has nothing directly to do with the relative density, this equilibrium vector itself.
I see. So, for example, Arwen, if I let a balloon go with helium in it, and it's underneath a staircase with a diagonal slope going up to the ceiling, will the balloon just do the exact same thing, but instead of sloping down and to the right, it'll slope up and to the left because it's under a stairwell making its way up, right? Doesn't really affect the fact that it's still making its way up. It's just following the path of least resistance with a stairwell in the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well said.
Don't you think it's...
That's why he's very confused, because he's just thinking he's giving it directionality. That's what his problem was.
Go and ask Simon Dan why the helium balloon falls down with this downward vector, right? Following the last path of least resistance, right? Well, why is it going down? It isn't going down. It's going up.
Why do you think that Simon Dan will never come on and actually try and back up his claims?
He needs his echo chamber. He couldn't cope with some wanker like Ed constantly talking through every rebuttal and requiring it repeating 15 times with him talking through it so he doesn't have to listen to it. Do you think Simon Dan could cope with that? You've got to be joking. He needs his little room with his camera and nobody to object. He can just control whatever comments he likes. Nobody's going to challenge him. It's all good, right? Here, trench level daily with morons like Ed interjecting constantly while we take apart their claim, point out why it's wrong, ask them questions that they give us asinine answers to. Do you think Simon Dan would cope with me asking, so, Dan, is this rock already in equilibrium? Is it on the ground? Or have you picked it up first? Because you don't seem to have mentioned that, and your fuckwit followers like Ed seem to be parroting it and having me embarrass them by simply asking a question about whether or not it's been picked up first. And we get answers like, no, there's two rocks now. One on the ground and one in the air, but we'll ignore the fact I've picked the one in the air up. Yeah, that's the kind of answers we get when morons like Simon Dan, who are unchallenged in their little echo chambers, actual echo chambers, not challenged by fundy muters like Ed. No. An actual echo chamber. Zero challenge coming his way while he parrots off his nonsense and just excludes to tell you that his example starts with him picking something up. Why bother mentioning that? And there's no one to challenge him, right?
That's a straw man of the argument as well. They don't understand the relative density argument, and they're attacking a straw man as well as going in the echo chamber. So it's really embarrassing. And you can see it straight away when Ed came in saying that, because he felt like he had a point, but obviously he wasn't an original thought. It wasn't something that he thought of himself, and he couldn't explain why he came to that conclusion. So it was obviously something that he had parroted and something that he doesn't understand. Otherwise, he would have been able to explain that.
Yeah, be careful who you parrot. If you choose a complete moron retard like Simon Dan to parrot, you're going to have flat earthers embarrassing you.
Really?
You haven't explained it.
Yeah, that was an embarrassing question, Ed, to be fair.
We are.
It's literally when somebody, the same way somebody
30 minutes into, and I'm surprised no one's noticed.
Notice what?
You really haven't noticed 30 minutes in?
You're pointing out that we haven't noticed, so maybe ask if we've noticed.
Okay.
I don't know
No, carry on. I want to see how long this goes for. I'm hoping it goes for the record.
Go on, just point it out for us.
No, this is fun.
Okay, I agree.
Spoonbender, why don't you stand
it's
up
getting
for
tiresome.
Ed?
This whole relative.
Oh, this is not my argument. I don't have any interest.
Why don't you take over? Why don't you take over his argument?
I'll think about it after a smoke, Steve.
Why don't you defend Ed? Come on, Spoonbender.
I'll think about it after a smoke. I'll be right back.
Fair enough.
Come on.
It's okay.
Don't run off.
I'm still here. What the hell?
Hey. Is that smoke gonna go up or down?
Go on, Tent. What did you say? Go on, Tent.
I said, is that smoke that he's going to have going to go up or down? What vector?
I missed you, Tommy. Talk through the beginning bit again. Go ahead. Try once more.
What vector is that smoke going to go to? Up or down when he goes to have that smoke?
What's the vector of the smoke?
That depends on the wind, because it's basically going to slowly go in all directions if it was perfectly wind still. But if there's wind, it's probably going to be carried away by it.
I'm pretty sure it goes down, go boom boom with a single vector at 9.8 meters per second. No?
Are you serious? It goes everywhere?
It goes down. The
say
smoke
that?
goes down. Go boom, boom. You have to sweep up
I always
smoke.
gotta sweep up my smoke. Yeah.
Yeah. We all have to sweep up that smoke. It's going down. Go boom, boom. Like Simon Dan's example, right? The rock he'd picked up that you ignored the bit that he'd left out because you didn't know because you were following a moron. Well, the smoke's not doing that.
Yeah, is this being recorded?
Is the smoke doing that? Is the smoke going down? Go boom, boom. Maybe ask an administrative question. Is the smoke going down? Go boom, boom.
You know, I'm starting to realise. I'm starting to realise a lot of Globers.
Smoke is always recorded.
Does the smoke go down?
Do you know where you are?
Can I-
You're live
can I
on the
finish my point?
show. You know that, right?
Ed, does the smoke go
I
down?
really
Maybe
want
not.
to have these claims you just made on video. So is this being recorded?
Ed, does the smoke go down? Ed,
Just an obfuscation tactic. Yeah, the guy with the going off for a smoke didn't manage his little distraction tactic. Oh, we've risked something really important. God, if only you guys knew. Oh, well, let's pay close attention to you and your thing that you think we've not noticed. Who cares?
I just want to point out that this is a problem with Globers, that they don't think for themselves. The educational system doesn't teach them how to think critically. They just parrot and just take orders from authorities, and then they just go with that, and they go with what the consensus say. This is with Nathan. You bash him over the head with the truth and the problems with things, and it doesn't sink into them because they're just not capable of thinking for themselves. So I'm feeling like the only way to get through to people like Ed is for them to actually to inspire them to think for themselves. Not because you're bashing over the head with the answer, and they still don't get it. It doesn't.
I'll
sink
give it a
in.
try. I'll give it a try, Tommy. Does the smoke go down? Go boom, boom.
No, what I hate is they come in.
Say it
they
again.
come
Nathan.
in.
Say it again.
No, you come, Ed. You come in and you say you're asking questions to learn, and you're being disingenuous. You're a lying bastard.
No, I just want to learn about your.
Ask the question.
No, you
Yeah,
don't. You're a liar,
just-
and you're literally.
There
just
you go. He
pandering.
just said it. He wants to learn about our crazy ideas. So you're disingenuous.
doesn't.
You're a baller, and you're a freaking priest.
I'm interested. I'm interested in.
That's what I'm going to name it.
I'm interested in his vector idea of the smoke. What has it got a downward vector or what? We still haven't got an answer.
Yeah, let me know because I'm smoking right now.
No, please, make more claims about it.
I'm asking you. You've parroted off a bloody Simon Dan claim about things with a 9.8 meters per second vector of down. That's your claim. Now we're asking about that claim you've made in regards to this smoke. Is it going down?
He
Come on,
probably
Ed.
not gonna answer.
Come on, Ed. Try and think for yourself for once. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah,
You can do it,
we're
Ed.
here for you, Ed. We're encouraging you to use your noggin. Your noggin, right? When critically analysing what Simon Dan said, does it all make sense when you talk about smoke? Does it follow what he said? Use your noggin, mate. We're here for you. We're flat earthers educating retards.
Well, you guys want physical evidence. So
Sorry, does the smoke go down? It's gonna be talked to you like you're a child. Because it seems that way. Incapable of understanding and critical thinking. Does this fit in with Simon Dan's example when he picked something up and dropped it, ignoring the bit where he picked it up? Does smoke do that? Is it 9.8 meters per second downwards?
Come on,
Hello? Ed.
This is an easy one.
Go,
Yeah,
Ed, go.
go ahead
Ed,
and
my 5-year-old
look
daughter
in the
understands
chat.
things better than us.
Right, Ed, you're not answering me. You're not answering me. Does it follow Simon Dan's example or not?
If you look in the chat, he'll see the smoke actually going down.
Oh, God. Dry eyes.
Click on the video.
Oh,
Dry
I
eyes.
see. I see. So the smoke in the
don't be
sorry,
stressed.
hold on, let me get it straight. So we've asked you about a guy specifically on the panel who's gone out for a smoke. He's going to smoke a cigarette. So your example that you're now directing me to, that's an example of a guy smoking a cigarette with the smoke going down at 9.8 meters per second as asked by me to you in regards to the example that the guy just detailed on the show. A physical example that is actually happening as we speak. Is that smoke in that guy's lungs going to come out and fall to the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared or not?
If you check the videos...
So check the video. Baller response. It's a yes or no closed question. Yes or no. Smoke, go down, go boom, boom, 9.8 meters per second. In the affirmative, that would be a yes or no. The smoke's not going down, go boom, boom at 9.8 meters per second squared. Which is it? Closed question, Ed. You incapable of answering yes or no?
There's 2 examples for you.
Maybe go to the video. Maybe not yes or no. Maybe you should look at an example that's not the question being asked, right? Scumbag? Fundy? Obfuscator? Zealot? Fundy? You're not answering.
I
don't want to go to no video. I'm not interested in what you've posted. I'm asking you a question about the guy who's outside having a little puff on his cigarette. And you're ignoring me and taking me to an example that you want to use. A different example, right, Ed?
I think that he can see.
No, there's actually 2 examples of smoke.
It's the guy smoking outside like we're discussing, though, is it? That'd be a no!
Is the video you posted the example we were actually talking about?
No, it won't be. It will be what's known as a red herring.
Go ahead, Nathan.
Sorry, so the guy outside smoking, right? We were discussing that. I don't know what you were discussing. Off in La La Land, right? Talking about something that's not that. And you want to direct my attention to your La La Land thing that we weren't talking about. Well, good for you. You're a moron. We know you believe in a globe and you're in La La Land thinking of other examples that we're not discussing. We're not interested in them, though. You're a moron. We're talking about the guy that's just literally verbalized his actions to us. Now, I understand that you're incapable of listening to people who talk to you in the here and now. Again, you're a globe believer. That's not capable of your cognition can't do that, no. But we are going to lay it out for you at nausea till you get it, because you're thick. So it's going to be 15 times, because you're a globe believer, right? We know. So we're patient. Man in examples going out to smoke a cigarette. Very simple example. The question you're being asked about that very specific example is the smoke going down, go boom, boom, with a downward vector? Or will the question that's being repeated for about the 10th time be talked through by a fundy who then claims I'm going to mute him, right? Is it going down or not? Yes or no? Simple question. Now, everybody watching knows the answer's no. And Simon Dan's a retard and you've parroted off this nonsense without applying critical thought. For example, a cigarette being smoked doesn't apply to his example. It's not going down at 9.8 meters per second. But he's still going to fundy mute me while I point that out again. Because he doesn't want to listen to it. That's why we have to go through it 15 times. Because they fundy mute us. The people with logic and reason, the flat earthers, the non-idiots that understand when Simon talks this shit, we can pull it apart for the total nonsense it is. We can debunk it with a cigarette. Right, Ed? You, on the other hand, are a globe believer. Absolutely incapable of critical thought. Only capable of parroting. That's why it's embarrassing. You're going to get humiliated because you haven't applied critical thought. You've just repeated what Simon Dan told you. Told you. You can be told. So I'm telling you, a cigarette can debunk this shit from Simon Dan, retard globe believer. Do you hear me?
Has he ever heard of...
Wait a second. He said we don't believe the evidence. But what about the evidence of chocolate smoking? That evidence don't count?
We don't believe the evidence that he's going to strawman red herring us with. The evidence that isn't what's being discussed. We don't believe his non sequitur la evidence that he's thinking about that isn't being exampled. That's the evidence he says we don't believe because he's a disingenuous scumbag. They don't believe the evidence. What? The evidence on the table being discussed? Oh, no. They don't believe this other evidence over here that we haven't admitted. We've told you to go fuck yourself with your stupid evidence that we're not discussing. So don't claim we haven't denied it. We haven't admitted it. We didn't let it in. Because it's not the example being discussed. It's a different red herring example. Right, Ed? Now, I know you don't like that and you feel that you can still appeal to this shit we wouldn't allow you to put on the table because it wasn't the same as the example being detailed that you were being asked about and then gave a response about evidence that wasn't being presented. Because that's what you fundies have to do.
It's cigarette
You can't
smoke,
answer my example. You need a new example that's different to answer. Right, Ed? A different example that you're going to answer?
Cigarette smoke. There it is. There's cigarette smoke, Nathan.
And it's going down at 9.8 meters per second, as per Simon Dan's claim. Yes or no?
Go ahead and click on it.
Is it going down at 9.8 meters per second with a downward vector of gravity as per Simondan's claim? Yes or no?
It's expanding in all directions.
Oh, right. That debunks space. Yeah, that's what gas does, doesn't it? It expands in all directions. Definitely not being held here with a 9.8 meters per second downward vector of gravity. Expanding in all directions, all vectors. Well, if the sky was a vacuum, according to you fundies on the globe, then that would be an available space. And if it's travelling in all vectors, it would fill that space, debunking the claim that we have a sky vacuum. This Alec guy
So
doing.
why doesn't it expand in all directions, Nathan?
It does.
It does expand in all
You just said it did. You gave the example of the cigarette doing that, you stupid idiot.
It doesn't.
You just exampled
and
it
I
doing just
posted
that.
an example of the cigarette where
Bye-bye.
it goes down.
Bye-bye, disingenuous
I
prick.
know why it goes down, but you're too stupid to comprehend.
Just summarise it. I've kicked him out because he's just told me that the example we've spent 25 straight minutes on him with him obfuscating, using red herring fallacies that we wouldn't allow in. He's just admitted it's expanding in all directions. So what, then he's going to start asking me why it doesn't do that? The very thing he's just had to concede after 10 straight minutes of boring obfuscation and fundy muting, right? Yeah, that's what we get to. Him making it clear that the cigarette smoke in his example, our example on the table, not his red herring that we didn't allow in, expands in all directions. Like, what, gas behaviour? Well, that's a shock, isn't it? Yeah, because that's precisely what debunks space. But maybe ask me why it isn't doing that in response. That's what he's just done. If you tell me that it's expanding in all directions and ask me why it isn't, I'm going to kick you out.
That's why I wanted him to look at Trillion optics. I wanted to see if he can tell us which vectors it's taking.
But look how fast he did that, though. He was like, it's expanding in all directions. Oh, that debug space. Oh, but why isn't it expanding in all directions? What?
Yeah, that's where he got kicked out.
What's wrong with you, man? Guys,
He's
man,
just
you're letting
way
this globe
far.
shit get to you guys, man. You're not even making common sense anymore. This shit is
They always
crazy.
try these little tricks though, don't they?
That's correct,
Dry ice
Chocolate.
one with me before. They've got dry ice and they're going, "Oh, look at the dry ice going down." I was like, "Yeah, but it expands."
Listen to them, man. I mean, look at the
smoke.
gymnastics they got to put themselves through to try to explain this shit.
Yeah, when they started with their bendy lines and all that stuff, they fucked up.
Bendy lines.
Smoking is
Bendy
hazardous to your
lines,
health.
bendy gas, bendy water, everything bendy with these guys, man. What the fuck?
Look how it's going down.
I'm vaping right now and I'm blowing it down. And it's still going up.
It's going down.
Has anybody
Blowing it
actually
down,
seen?
it just goes right back up, right?
Well, do you guys
Yeah, I'm
watch the
blowing
video
it
that he
down.
posted?
What's up, guys?
Nathan?
Hey, QE.
Uh-oh.
Yo, what up?
Uh-oh.
Go on silent.
You got no live show going on, Holmes.
Yeah, did you watch the video? The video was
No.
showing like a piece of paper like blowing smoke downwards, but that was because the fire on top of it, it was, building a pressurized system inside that little roll of paper, and it was pushing the smoke down for like 1 second or 2 seconds, and then the smoke, it will disperse. It will disappear, which means it went in all directions, right? That's why
Well,
we don't see it
sort
anymore.
of.
It's not condensing one.
Just out of interest, has anybody got any advice what I should do if my building set on fire? Should I get as high as possible to get above the smoke?
Yeah, it sounds smart.
You gotta get down as low as you can get.
Besides relative density, smoke also tends to rise, at least at first, because it kind of starts out hot. And hot air also, rises.
No, it doesn't. It goes down at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's why you have to get above the smoke. That's what they tell you. Do you spider hack to get above the smoke, right? It's going down at 9.8 meters per second squared.
Yep. That's how it works. Yep.
Yeah,
Well,
but
all you have
what's
to do
funny is
is go to a house where they smoke, right? And you will see the stains all over the place, on the walls, up in the roof, whatever.
I don't know what houses
All
you've
over the
seen,
place.
but I just vacuum that shit up after.
The stains all over the place.
Silent Zero, your mic is like a
that means,
busted
you know.
chainsaw.
Sorry.
Why don't you get a megaphone and announce we're coming?
Has anybody seen the Simon Dunn video?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it a while ago because I think he had Arwen in it. He was debunking Arwen while he was trying to, and because Arwen was on about, he come into Arwen's chat, and Arwen was talking about relative density, and he asked the question, and then he tried it. No, he cuts from clip to clip, and then he cut to the other clip, and then he was going, oh well, he goes, Arwen, if the air above it's equal and the air below it's equal, then why doesn't the brick go up? And when I first saw that, I was a global when I used to watch that, and I used to think, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then obviously now having to understanding the relative density argument, I'm like, he doesn't understand what he's even trying to debunk.
I think you actually came here with that argument. I think you came here with that argument, Tommy. I think I remember arguing with you. Why does the brick not go up?
And I've done it myself. I parried it as well.
Yeah, bro. I remember that.
It's because of the. I know exactly. That's why I saw it straight away, because it's just the misinterpretation of the relative density argument.
That's special bleeding.
Hold on. How's it special
So
bleeding?
you just
Hold on. How's it special bleeding?
I didn't say bleeding. I said special bleeding.
Oh, special bleeding. Don't be like that. Mitch is ace, as is Paul.
So yeah, I saw it straight away. I just thought, yeah, that's where because it literally that's where it's got that from. And if you don't understand the relative density argument, that makes sense to you. But if you don't understand the relative density argument, it wouldn't make sense because they're thinking it gives it directionality, and that's where he kept going on that word. What was that word he kept saying? Something about the density. Go to the least resistance. Now you explained it wonderfully with that balloon and sort of like the air path.
The path of least resistance.
Yeah. But it doesn't give it direction. I'd say he's trying to think that the relative density gives it direction.
It's going in, though.
But that assertion would lead to a rock on the ground, according to their claim, which is, according to Brian, just an extension of their own claim in the first instance. That would lead you to the assertion on their side, if that's their claim, that a rock on the ground is just going to fly up because there's less resistance above it. Well, no, you have to establish why it's not doing anything in the first place. Well, it's because it's reached equilibrium. But they don't ever, they're not going to assert that. They take it 2 steps further, because they'll start by picking the damn thing up and then ask you the question about why it's not going up when you let it go.
Yeah, we've had a variation of this argument before. When somebody came in, there was a Glober that came in and asked us why, when somebody jumps out of a plane, they don't go up, right?
And they try to pin that confusion onto
because they're not understanding. It's not because there's the air upwards is less dense. It's that the person is denser than the air. It's that relationship. It's like it skips over their head or something. They don't get it.
Yeah, but it's denser. It's also more dense than the air above them when they jump. The densities, they're more dense.
They're more dense.
That's what they're saying.
Exactly. They're more dense than all of it. The entirety of the medium that they're going to pass through gives them a downward vector because they've had to first push themselves out of... This is the bit that's been ignored by us. First they had to get in a plane, and then they had to fly up. Well, that took them out of equilibrium. Well, where they're going to return to? What, higher up? They're going to go up through the less... No. They're going to return to equilibrium, where they came from.
Exactly. They have to go back to equilibrium.
But their whole argument is, why do things fall? This boils down to, why do things fall down, go boom, boom?
Go splash.
I'm so tired of this argument.
Well, weight is being taken away from them tomorrow, along with Newtonian mechanics. So just remember that.
Yeah!
They're trying to pin their misconceptions onto you, though, as well. That's the thing. They'll misinterpret what you're saying and then try to pin it on, oh, look how stupid is you guys think. Well, if it works the way that you guys think, well, no, it's the way you think we're saying it. It's not the actual way we're saying it. And then they're trying to pin that confusion onto flat earthers. That's what they do.
They do it every time.
That's all they can do, man, because all they're trying to do is stop people with common sense from trying to understand this shit, and they're trying to obfuscate it. So they can sit here and argue with us all day about it, right?
What Ed did is he came in with a trick gotcha question that allowed him then to make an argument that we weren't making. So he came in, and his gotcha question was only going to lead to him being able to use a straw man argument.
Who?
That was the whole point of what he did.
Who?
Ed Freeze.
Ed.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't here.
Fucking
all right.
Beavis and Butthead.
It's okay. He's parroting off a Simon Dan argument, and it's an old argument.
Simon Dan has an argument?
No, he doesn't. Obviously.
He's got a downward imagination.
No, but look, Chocolate was outside doing a demonstration, and he kept saying, "Go look at the tape. Go look at the tape. What are you scared?" Holy shit!
Incapable of thinking for himself. That's a glow tardation. That's what they've got. They just don't want to. What they want to do is they want to Google stuff, and they want to go to other people that, like, scientists or astrophysicists, and they just want to parrot what they're saying. They don't want to think for themselves. They don't want to use their brain. And school teaches you how to follow instructions, doesn't it? It doesn't teach you how to think and work things out for yourself.
Yeah, you're diagnosing whole groups of people, stereotyping. We kind of want to stay away from that.
He's an ex-globe head. It'll take a time.
Well, that's what I seem to see with a lot of the globe
he
coming out.
sees it now, so he's got to analyze it.
Just gonna ask you, let me ask
I used to do it myself as well.
Huey, one quick question. Did you like my answer in that regard? You've obviously watched Dome Life then, so when they asked me to divine Craig's thoughts, did you notice?
Listen, yeah, I loved it. I thought that was... You surprised me with that because I didn't know you did an interview. I never knew that they had a show that Mitch and... Who was it? Paul on the Plane?
Yeah, Paul on the Plane. He's got 30,000 subscribers.
They had a show. I thought it was out. I was riveted. I loved that friggin' show.
Whoa. What was the answer?
Well, he asked me why Craig would willingly deceive his audience. Well,
yeah. I heard it. Yes, excellent.
The answer is I can't divine his thoughts. I don't know his motivation, and I don't. But I do know what he's claiming, and I know how to take it apart, and that's all I can do.
Yeah, and then he said, "Fair enough." Yeah.
So that special bleeding, it wasn't Mitch who said that. It was Paul on the Plane that kept on saying special bleeding. He never got it. I was rolling, man.
I didn't give him a great example.
Was he really saying that? Was he
fair,
saying special bleeding?
I didn't give him a great
special bleeding, period.
My example wasn't great for special bleeding, to be fair.
Yeah.
That took some time.
Should have started with.
It was good. It was really good. When did you do that interview?
Half a week ago.
Really good.
Last
Outstanding.
Wednesday,
I wished it was longer. Why'd they stop?
Yeah, it was too short.
Well, they've got a 2-hour show, so they did half an hour, introduced me, did an hour, and then did their quick Q&A with the audience.
I thought it was great, but I liked the 24/7 from yesterday even better. You in Battle Mod, that was hysterical.
Who was Nate? You in 24/7 yesterday?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nathan. Tell him.
So
the only day I wasn't in there, you go in there.
Well, what happened was I got up on Sunday morning and I looked at my YouTube revenue and I went, holy shit, I better make a few more videos.
That's funny.
Yeah. So you went in there yesterday? Well, in the morning, in the afternoon? When?
I heard, basically, I just heard this. I heard the guys that were in there being led off on this path, right? And they were being led on.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, it's frustrating, right? It's Neil's fault, really, because Neil's been pestering me to go in there. So I've listened. And then within 10 minutes of listening, typically I'll go, oh, why haven't they actually highlighted the fact that this guy's claiming pictures from space? And you can imagine the argument, right? So I go in and I'm like, what pictures from space? What's, this is all debunked. And it just went from there.
Yeah, I haven't been in there since I got frustrated when for half an hour, somebody went on about radius, that the radius was different in different spots on the earth. It went on for 30 minutes. It was 10, 12 people talking all at the same time. They're all arguing about it.
Same guy.
Define radius! Right? I'm trying to get in there.
Hello?
Nathan,
We
you
lost
here?
John after the fine radius. After the fine radius, the fine radius, he just disappeared.
It was the fire radio.
Yeah, it's like he was saying it, like he was jumping off a cliff into water.
It was too much.
What the hell just happened? That was hilarious.
He got to the horizon and fell off.
He found the geometric. That's what happens when you find the geometric horizon. Shh.
Yeah, you fall off.
You fall off.
He fell over he fell over the horizon.
It swallowed him up.
Kiwi fell over the edge.
What the fuck?
Hey guys, I got you tomorrow. It was 124 degrees here yesterday. My plants are thirsty.
Oh my god.
All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. What a great show.
See you later.
Later. Bye.
The one thing I did notice is that the enthusiasm level is super high in there. In other words, they're falling over themselves to take these arguments apart, which after the fact I was like, that's ace. There's so many people in there that are like, it's flat and I'll kill you to make my argument come through louder than yours. You just think, great. Wonderful.
Hey, Nathan.
Sorry, Arvin.
You were gone for like a minute.
Oh, really?
Did you notice? Yeah.
Did I notice as I was off filling up this...
Right after Kiwi said radius. And just
everybody, last time.
I went and got a drink. I've been sat here 2 hours.
Right.
Sorry, my bad. I was expecting Kiwi to have a longer passage.
No, he kind of just faded out and we didn't hear anything. So we said, oh shit, he was screaming radius and he faded out like he got swallowed up. He found the geometric horizon. That's what happens.
Call a deep borehole, right? Fell down it.
Exactly.
Yeah, he fell over the edge.
Just talking about the video you put out there earlier or yesterday about when you were on 24/7 days. That guy, he debunked himself 3 times, and you're the only person that really spotted it. First of all, he debunked himself when he started talking about dry ice, because the reason that stays low to the ground is because of its density. He also started talking about helium and hydrogen, which is about density, and then he admitted that gravity was not a force. So, he was absolutely
but he said it wasn't a force, but then he said it's an attraction between two masses.
He messed around with it, yeah.
So he's basically saying it's force, but not a force. It's fucking bullshit.
But Nathan wasn't, but because it wasn't on this show, Nathan wasn't in the position to nail him down like he normally would. Like normally he wouldn't get away with saying that it's not a force, but it's some other nonsense. No, he'd have to admit that it's an effect. Whereas he got away with that there. He wouldn't get away with that over here. And
the arena. It does get crazy sometimes in there. So
it's just an open chat room. It wasn't the arena.
Oh, it was the regular live stream?
Yeah. A few of them are trying to say, look, if you want to go one-on-one with this guy. I'm trying to respond, but obviously there's loads of enthusiastic flat earthers that are also wanting to get their words in. So I'm like, I'm trying to answer you.
I mean, sometimes it's like 40 people in there, man. It's like, there may be like 2-3 gladiators, which are the ballers. So there's like, 37, 38 fucking flat earthers. It's crazy sometimes, man.
Yeah, man. They're all keen. I love it. I think it's ace. Makes me smile.
Yeah, man.
Are we still online, Nathan?
No, we finished live ages ago.
I didn't even hear it.
Okay.
I wasn't paying much attention, was I? Jeez, it's bad.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I did do the show in a different way this time. They've changed the live dashboard now completely. I bored everyone in the pre-show with it. Can just go live, Arwin and QE.
Right. It looks like you're using the the chat link with the studio in there. You can just turn it back to the old-fashioned style by taking the same link and then taking the word studio and a dot out of it, and it'll become just like the normal one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do give you a radar button to go back to the original studio, but that
doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're obviously, for whatever reason, changing the system, and from past experience when they do this, they say words to the effect of, you may want to learn this new system, meaning learn this new system or you won't be able to go live anymore.
Yep.
I've done it now. I've made the transition. Fine.
Well, remember earlier I was speaking to you about the whole moon thing.
Oh, God. I'm really sorry, Brian. I did say after housekeeping. To be fair, I did round out the live show with the last housekeeping question. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, Hassas. No, I mean, I haven't really formulated it correctly. I just want to be able to give a summary of it. So it didn't matter. Like, it's no big deal if it didn't get out today. When I have it more formulated, if it can be formulated correctly, then it'd be worth hearing. Anyway. But
okay.
Today don't matter anyway.
Listen,
but,
I hear you, John, but I don't think they can hear you, man.
Can you hear Can you guys hear QE? He's been talking for like 20 minutes.
We haven't heard.
He was in the middle of something. You guys just
he's been trying to talk and get in, but yeah, it's just been blocked.
Can you hear
so
me?
I don't know what's.
We hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We hear you now, John.
I hear you.
Okay.
The last time we heard you, QE, you were saying radius.
And coincidentally,
radius again.
Yeah, I coincidentally disappeared to get a Coke, so I didn't notice there was anything wrong. Sorry. Just coincidence.
Okay, QE, the only way you're going to get the answer to this is you got to watch the fucking video and you'll see. Holy shit.
Hold on, now we're going to get sidetracked from Brian, who was about to make a point that he's waited 2.5 hours to make. Nevertheless.
We still ain't got to this freaking point.
Let's ask Brian, what do you want to do? Do you want QE to round out his point that got interrupted through technical difficulties, or do you just want to say, fuck him, who cares? It's only QE, right?
No, I want the QE to go and tell us round out.
Very
tell us
gracious.
what he had to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Go ahead, QE.
I'm talking to somebody else. Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right. What? I'm sorry. I was talking to my wife.
That's much more important.
Me.
No, hold on. Fair enough. Totally fair enough.
But I'm good now. Go ahead.
You were interrupted, and then we lost your
connection.
connection.
After I was screaming, radius!
Yeah, I was in there the other night. I was saying, because you had mentioned that you got frustrated because they keep missing the argument, and some knucklehead first said, okay, we live on an oblate spheroid, which is not, or I was trying to get him to say elliptoid, but he wouldn't do it. And then he started saying, well, there's different radiuses. And I'm there. I tried to get into the discussion. I'm there, dude. They went on for like 30 minutes. I'm there, dude, just ask him to define radius. Right? For 30 and 40 minutes, I got so frustrated with it. I was spamming the chat saying, define radius, right? And I just got so frustrated, I just fucking laughed. That's what that. So that
it's
was
funny because it's the same
story.
guy that Nathan was talking about.
Was it the same
he's
guy?
all right. The gladiator guy.
The same baller, yeah.
The trouble is that when you get to that situation and you're saying, well, all you need him to do is define radius, even though to you and to me and probably 90% of the panel, you instinctively know why that's being asked and why that gets to the nub of the question. Whereas if you don't get it, you don't get it. So even if you manage to highlight it, it'll still be missed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It was just, I was just frustrated because I wasn't upset with the guy with the baller. I was upset with the 30 flat earthers that wouldn't shut the hell up and think on their feet. That's what frustrated me.
Yeah, you got to have that passion. I try and focus on glass half full. They're passionate, great. That's, glass half full.
Yeah, you're always glass half full. All right. But I left.
My glass is always entirely full until it's empty.
It's just empty or full, right?
It's full right now.
Spoken like a true manic depressive.
I just make sure it doesn't empty. I keep refilling it.
Too funny, man. Too funny. All right, so what's going on this Labor Day?
Is it Labor Day?
It's holiday here.
No white
Working
shoes
on
after
the
today,
flat Earth
ladies.
debate.
No white shoes after today.
What? White shoes?
You can't wear white after Labor Day, Arwin. Don't you know anything?
I don't even know what Labor Day is. I don't even know what labor
That's
is.
fair enough.
What are you talking?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Can someone explain what Labor Day is to Arwin, please?
I know what labor is, by the way. That was
yeah. Fair enough.
But
Can
Labor
somebody
Day, I
explain it
don't
to
know. It's a British thing, right?
It's an American holiday.
American, okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
It's
You don't
Labor
have-
Day weekend, isn't it?
You Irish don't have Labor Day? Really?
No.
Oh, wow. Well, you're missing out.
Lazy bastards.
We do. We get Labor Day. No, I'm only joking. We don't get Labor Day either. I'm just joking.
No? It's American, really?
Yeah, it's American. I just asked to see who's going to volunteer to explain what it is, but nobody's stepping forward.
What's the big deal? It's just the holiday. That's it.
In aid of what?
They call it Labor Day. Now, I don't know. I never researched it. I just said, hey, 4-day weekend, man.
Yeah, that's what it is, Does it's 4-day weekend.
I don't know. I never, got the encyclopedia out and got down to the bone.
Celebration of the men that built America. Labor Day.
It's a celebration
There
of
you go.
the men who built America, the men who put in the labor to build
Day,
America.
the first Monday in September, is a creation of the labor movement and is dedicated to the social and economic achievements of American workers. It constitutes a yearly national tribute to the contributions workers have made to the strength, prosperity, and well-being of our country. Very patriotic.
That's nice.
I also heard the word social in there. Never mind. That was what I was thinking of. Like, oh, really? Labor? That's typically associated with a certain group. But I don't know. The overall picture didn't sound that bad. So.
Yeah, it sounded very nice. Despite the fact that you might want to associate it to slaves and getting pissed in the face by only having a day for it. I don't know. We could make it very negative if we chose to.
Defund the police.
Don't start that now, because gas lives matter.
What lives matter? I think
Gas
you'll find.
lives matter? What?
I didn't hear it either.
GLM, gas lives matter.
Oh.
Whose lives?
Gas lighting matters? What?
Gas
lights?
The
lives?
rebellious gas particles.
Oh,
GLM.
Their lives matter.
Lives matter.
Definitely.
I still didn't hear it.
No, I didn't.
Gas.
Gas lives, as in the rebellious gas particles at the Carmen line.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So their lives matter. Yes.
Well, that's ruined.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong. It's Black Lives Matter. I think you'll find you're all wrong. I don't even have a TV and I know it's Black Lives Matter. You're just wrong, Neil. Try to keep up with the current events of the day.
How about vapors against entropy?
That's more like it. Now there's a slogan I can get behind. Vapors against entropy. That's the group. Yeah, that's spot on. That's what they're going to be called. Not Gas Lives Matter. How dare you? That's just sacrilegious to the Black Lives Matter movement. How dare you?
What was the vapor saying? What was that? That was
Vapors
good.
against entropy. This is the
Vapors against entropy.
Yeah. That's classic, Arwin.
It's good.
That's what Arwen does.
Yeah,
somebody will get a hold of that one.
Yeah, now we've got a whole narrative, right? We've got the gas particles. They've rebelled against society when they reached the Kármán line and said, "No, we will not obey natural law." Now, obviously, at some point they segregated into various other particles. Some of them got fat on cake and fell back down to Earth. Other ones said, "Sod this, we're going off to the moon because there's a guy that's decided we should be going there, so we are." And so there's obviously subcategories, but it all gets very political. And then, the ones that wanted to be unionized. Is that a word? Unionized?
Yeah, sure.
Unionized, yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah, they wanted better representation. Well, they said, well, we should really start a political group. So they started the, Arwin?
Vapors Against Entropy.
The Vapors Against Entropy movement. Right? And they got, eventually, no, it did take a while, but they did get a very good union.
It sounds like third wave feminism or third wave gas expansion. It's third wave gas expansion.
Oh, we'll move into it's separated into to feminist aspects as well later on in the story, but we'll get to that later.
Wow, we should make a children's book of this. No.
You have to have a union president. Who's their Hoffa?
Argon.
It was Argon. The almighty Argon.
Hey, somewhere.
Wow, we could build a whole gas society with this concept.
Yeah, we'll get there. Bit by bit, we'll get there. You just have to make it up as you go along, right? Why not they do it with heliocentrism? Why can't we have a bit of fun with it?
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you do. Why not have more fun with it, right?
Nonsense. So why not descend it into the farcical?
Agreed.
Like it's not already a farcical that we're all living on a magical spinning water ball flying around in a vacuum.
As I said, Chocolate. My sentiments entirely. As the words crossed my lips, I thought, how can I compare something being nonsense with something being farcical when, in reflection, you look back on the heliocentric model and go, what the hell? This is so stupid. Why on earth did I ever buy this?
I do that all the time.
I always ask what's pushing everything up.
The heliocentric model pretends to be real, and this story, nobody's going to read that and then really think it's real. There's no way. So
I think
they
it
might
will be.
recognize some traits.
Because it's a man-made construct, right, from a philosophy. That means that it's going to be crap, isn't it? Because men and women, us, we're a bit crap. So, because the idea of being on a spinning water ball flying through a vacuum has come from some dudes and dudettes, it's a bit crap. And when you look on it from the outside, as people will in future, they will go, well, that was a bit silly, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Wish I could meet them and slap them upside the head. Like, what the hell were you thinking with this nonsense, man?
And this is exactly what it is. What's going on right now is what history is trying to pretend the medieval times were like, when we were all so dumb thinking the earth was flat, and they clumsily try to fill in how stupid and unhygienic and backwards and like cross-eyed looking and everything they can think of how that is. But in the future, when this nonsense is over, that's exactly how people then will look upon the ballers.
And the irony is
wasn't Copernicus the one that they threw in jail when he was trying to teach the heliocentric model?
Yeah, house arrest.
Like,
house
bro,
arrest.
what's wrong with you?
No,
Get in jail with this magical ball
Copernicus
nonsense.
or Galileo? We got to get that right.
Which one was it?
Hold on, we need to get our fake history in the right order.
You got to get the history, the nonsense history in the right. I think it was Galileo. I remembered the story. It's all convoluted. It gets parroted by friggin' 32.
Magnifico!
Galileo. Why is the hell Galileo on a Copernicus?
I could be wrong.
It's Galileo. Why the hell?
I don't think it was Galileo. Galileo was in the court of the King of Holland. Or the King of Italy, I think it was at the time.
I have like 60 people talking at once, man. Can they hear each other?
Go!
Listen to them.
Well, I mean, I can't hear shit.
Why do I hear a baby?
I'm on record. I'm fucking deaf. I can't
Poop's
hear
not
shit.
loud.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's not Paul. He's not in the panel.
No, we hear him.
No,
though.
somebody thought it was Queen.
No, I heard your point, Spoonbender.
This is why I prefer text, then I can hear everybody.
Very well.
Go ahead, Nathan. Can you take control of this?
It's getting there. It's getting there of its own volition. Completely forgotten where we were. Oh yes, irony of ironies.
Rocks going up. I believe that's where you were last. I heard.
No. We were talking about how in the future, where we look back on it now, us personally look back and go, wow, heliocentrism's just laughably silly in many aspects. Well, irony of ironies, that's what they tell the world at large, Western world at large, to view flat Earth as. Oh, look how silly it is. Another example where like they ask us for our edge and ask us for the dome when they've got weak ass aspects to their argument. Well, in the same way, because their whole concept, their whole philosophy is so silly, they think, well, we can't allow people to recognise how stupid it is. Tell them that the alternative, the way the world presents itself, is stupid. Ridicule that. But I think, as Arwin's saying, in future, we'll look at it in the way they tell people now to look at us. Which is, oh, look how stupid they are. Well, we'll be going, look how stupid those heliocentrists were back in the day. On a ball? Antipodal? What? Why did they ever think that? How silly.
Well, I was actually comparing it to medieval times, which they love to associate with the time when the people hadn't figured out the globe yet, which is kind of from an earlier stage, So now it's all become much more personal and tenacious and all that. But yeah, how they used to describe medieval times, which is probably not really based on reality at all in most cases. Yeah, that's how it'll kind of look to the people then when this is all over and the ballers are really can be written about, can be put down and not be censored for what they really are, for what they're really doing, what their behavior is like. It's very similar. So it seems like it was all just a giant projection onto the past of what they were doing themselves. Getting really dumb and silly and, yeah, farcical. That was it. Anybody there?
Oh, yeah.
Obligatory
what?
Don't object when you don't get completely and utterly rumpus, Darwin.
No, it's just like, what? Did I time out or something? What?
Everybody's listening.
Yeah, we were actually listening to you, shockingly.
Well, yeah.
Well, I try.
They are, they are projecting onto the past. They're just using it's, I guess, societally, you could call it an effigy strategy. You take all your boogeyman, all your bad things, then you decide a target, then you put that target on a fire and you burn it. And they even used to do that with witches, I guess. But yeah, more basically, you just take a literal straw man, a straw figure, then you set it ablaze and you project all that is bad and evil and disgusting onto that to try to forget about it, burn it up.
Yep, that's what they do to us.
That's what they did with the medieval people and their flat earth old ideas and ancient knowledge passed over in thousands of years, which is so ridiculous and outdated, apparently. Even though there's giant monolithic buildings around that they still can't reproduce or even fix with modern technology. But those people were just so dumb and outdated, man. It's just
absolutely spot on. It's projection. They do it exactly that to us, flat earthers, right now. Their stupidity and ignorance and nature of a parrot is projected onto us. They can lock themselves up in echo chambers and pat each other on the back, and then they tell us we're in echo chambers. They can talk over us constantly while we take apart their rhetoric, and they tell us that we're muting them. And so it goes on. It's just projection.
Yeah, it does seem that way. It absolutely does. I think they, as well, they hide behind the fact that you don't take no shit and you're so aggressive with your opinion that they go, oh, all he does is shout and scream. So they use that as a way to avoid coming in and actually, defending the actual points of science. Do you know what I mean? Well, they haven't got science, but they hide behind, he shouts, he raises his voice. But it's so frustrating when you're trying to tell someone, you're beating someone over the head with the actual truth, and they just obfuscate and do all the things that you call out. But they just want to hide behind, the fact that you're shouting. And that's why they don't want to confront you. Because they're afraid, really, because they know they can't defend what they believe. So you use that as a shield to avoid confrontation. So
that's just another logical
shouting
fallacy.
doesn't matter. It's the argument, really. If you have a foot to stand on, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what happened to me yesterday, Nathan. I had your show on, and I didn't even know like somebody else was hearing it. We had like a little picnic. So some guy turns around, he says, "Is this guy stating fact?" I said, "Oh, yeah, actually it is fact." And then he went on to say, "Well, what about all the scientists?" So I think we're always going to be in a battle with that bullshit where they think the people of education have the right. So he went on to say, well, who is this guy? What did he do? What did he graduate from? So that's always going to be the battle.
Well, that was the guy's appeal at the end. Well, what would the court say? How would they look at it? And he basically then described an appeal to consensus fallacy and was like, well, the Western world agree with me, even though I'm wrong. Therefore, I'm right. It's like, oh, okay. Well, you know, go in peace, Fundy. You know, the rest of the world agree with your nonsense. Therefore, you're happy to go along with it. Well, that's pretty pathetic in my view. But like I say, I don't care.
My brother-in-law started interjecting.
You know, I don't know if the courts are actually going to give in to consensus like that.
No, that's what he appealed to, though. I agree, Arwin, but that's what he appealed to.
Anyway, my brother-in-law jumped in and started explaining flat Earth to him. I didn't even know he knew so much about it.
I was going to say, because, you know, Nathan, you're right about the projecting, because Jen Panda was screaming at me saying, you're just parrying Nathan Oakley and Quantum Erasers saying, and I was thinking, well, you parrot literally every single thing that you know, the educational system tells you.
Right, I was in there when he said it.
He literally does exactly what he accuses people of.
That's kind of funny, being that is that coming from the guy who created the heliocentric model? Because where did he get that from?
Exactly. Literally,
what are you parroting?
He goes, what I'm like from reputable sources. You're doing quantum erasure and Nathan Oakley. I goes, yeah, but science is for all of us. It doesn't mean for anyone in particular. I said, you know, Galileo and fucking, I don't know, Newton and Einstein, they're just normal people as well with ideas. Science is for everybody. It's not exclusively for certain people. You know, at the end of the day, any man can be right and any man can be wrong. So science is for us all. So don't sit there saying just because, it's Nathan Oakley or Quantum Eraser, therefore it should be disregarded. They've got points that need to be addressed and questions that can't be asked. So there's something to it.
Science is just a method of establishing the cause of natural phenomena. So yes, it is absolutely for everyone, though. I'll agree with you on that. And with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ Panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!